Hey everyone, Chris Hansen here of Hansen vs. Predators, and Cantor Predator, why don't you have a seat right over there and listen to Kyle and Brandon, our podcast. According to my chat logs, Kyle and Brandon have interesting guests.
No, I hated it.
Yeah.
Everybody's sweaty, everybody's on drugs, so they're super sweaty but also touchy, and then they touch your face, then you leave there, and the next day you have pimples.
Fantastic conversation.
He's underground in a lab, floating in a tank of water, because he almost died.
And most important, no predators.
Hi, I am Reese, and I am from the podcast Canadian Politics is Boring, and we have 60 seconds to hard sell you why you should listen to our comedy show. So, Jesse, have you got any reasons why they should check us out?
Absolutely not, but you told me to be more enthusiastic, so that's what I'm going to be.
It's got stories about funny politics in Canada.
Bear wrestling, aliens, alcoholics galore, seances with ghosts, dogs that are your mother, or the fact that Justin Trudeau's father might actually be Fidel Castro, or
not.
So are you driving to work, or are you on your bicycle listening to a podcast, or are you perhaps taking care of your children and you just really want to drown them out? Put us in your ear holes.
Search Canadian Politics is Boring on your favorite podcast app, or go to CanadianPoliticsIsBoring.com to check out our half-finished website.
Here at Intoxicated Reviews, we intellectually dissect the art of cinema, scene by scene. Here's some clips.
All he is, it's just a fucking big wooden doll full of cum, chasing kids around.
You look up guys who poop in a bag. Because I think that's where you'll find him. Because he is hurt.
It's probably just in your search history anyway, isn't it?
This movie fucking blows.
So don't forget to subscribe to Intoxicated Reviews on all places you find podcasts. Except Spotify. We're working on it.
Journey through the stars, rock and roll guitars!
Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Oh, hey there, Internet, and welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, and Intoxicated is a comedy variety talk show where I shoot the shit with comedians, creators, and characters. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am glad to be doing this intro because I'm glad I was able to recover this week's episode, because guess who accidentally deleted an episode again? Me. But thankfully enough, I was able to recover it. God bless cloud backups, because otherwise we might not have had an episode this week. But here it is. I'm excited to be back this week with two returning guests, two people who I enjoy very much. This week's guests are Martin Edwards and Vincent Alexander. The brothers are back. The last time I recorded with Martin and Vince, it was a lot of silly fun, very minimal comedy talk. Not this time though, guys. This time it's very heavy in the comedy talk area. So I do think if you are a lover of stand-up, if you are a comedian, you are going to enjoy this episode with Martin and Vince. And just a giant plug right off the top that Martin Edwards is the host of Mega Comedy Mondays, which happens here in Halifax at Gus's Pub every Monday night at 8 p.m. It's a pay-what-you-can show. It's very near and dear to my heart. This is where I kind of fell in love with stand-up. It's the show that made me start going to shows, pretty much. So it needs some love. We need more people in that room. So if you are in Halifax, do keep that in mind for a Monday night thing that you could do. There's also food there. You can grab a burger, see some comedy. It's a good fucking time. So once again, that is Mega Comedy Mondays, hosted by Martin Edwards. Please come out. And definitely keep an eye out for any shows that Martin and Vince are on. These are two very talented guys. They're both very funny. And again, just always a absolute treat to have them on the podcast. So I'm going to get to the episode, but before that, just going to let you know where you can follow Intoxicated. Give the podcast a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast, on Twitter at @in_toxicated. Please do consider leaving an Apple Podcasts rating or review, or both. That's even better. It is a great way to show some support for the podcast and sort of bump up the visibility of the show. check out Patreon. I'm actually going to record a Patreon episode today. So you get bonus content on there, sometimes early access if I have my shit together. All the money from Patreon goes into making this podcast better. I have many things that I'm saving up for currently and some big plans for this show. So that's definitely an option. Check out Patreon. That's patreon.com/intoxicated. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm pushing for 300 subscribers right now. I'm at 260. I'm getting there, but it is another place to watch episodes and also check out extra content. I have a Sarah Tries Stand-Up vlog series up there right now, and I'm likely going to do another one as sort of a little bit of an update as to where I'm at in stand-up. Bits and pieces certainly come out in my episodes, but it's kind of a cool thing to do as a standalone thing on YouTube to document my journey with this insane thing that has taken over my life, quite frankly. So subscribe on YouTube. That's youtube.com/intoxicated, or you can just search Intoxicated. Make sure it's spelled right, TALK. And of course, tell a friend about the podcast. It's the best way to get the word out and always greatly appreciate it. But that's about it, you guys. Happy Thanksgiving weekend to all my Canadians. And please enjoy this week's episode with Martin Edwards and Vincent Alexander.
All right. I hope it's okay that I have these.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're not...
No sock in it? I fucking hate socks.
I hate socks too.
I feel so free.
I hate socks
if I just
too.
have like little slip-ons, I just feel so fab. Like I just feel like I'm, just getting a few things at the market, but not even stuff for like a meal, just like coffee and biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
I got some fucking sweet boat shoes on vacation last year.
Boat shoes,
or whatever.
I like the way
I
that
put
sounds.
some nice soft gel insoles in there.
Ah, beautiful.
Or whatever, and I just rock those, no socks, and I love it. Yeah. But now it's fall and it's over.
For like a day or two, it's like you're like walking on a cloud. And you're like, oh, this is awesome. And then it wears
little
out.
Thin nylon-y guys like these guys though.
Oh, I don't like those.
You don't like those?
I don't like any socks. Honestly, they all piss me off. I think it's just because I just lose them constantly.
I only buy ankle socks.
Yeah,
same.
Socks are the shit.
But those tend to slip. So I just start roller skating, and I need to find a good pair of roller skating socks because the skates are slightly too big for me.
Where do you go roller skating?
I went to the Oval yesterday. I uploaded a video of me roller skating to an April Wine song.
Nice, I love April Wine. Let's see.
Yeah, you want to see?
What song is it?
Can you
gotta guess. It is She's a Roller.
She's a roller. A high roller baby.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
This is me.
Oh, I love it.
I'm just learning. It's very new for me.
She's a roller, yeah. A high roller baby. She is. She's a roller.
Right?
The part where it's the high part,
Yeah.
Where he goes, roller.
Isn't it so good? I love April Wine.
Me too, man.
I only know a couple songs.
I like to rock.
I know all their songs.
I like to rock.
I hear that song. I like to rock at work all the time at Q104. And I've always known the song, the chorus, but I'm just like, how did I fucking never notice the journey through the stars, rock and roll guitars? I like to rock. Like, how the fuck did I not remember this?
What a great band.
Yeah, man. They're
Tonight
the best.
is a wonderful time
to fall in love.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, do we have a band now?
Fuck yeah. What's the other ballad though?
Wouldn't want to lose your love.
Wouldn't want to lose your love. You won't dance with me. That's
you
another
won't
ballad.
dance with me is like the wussy ass ballad
Hold
though.
hands with me.
It's all strings and I don't ever think you can hear any git or bass in the song.
Yeah.
Seems like they got a new record label and they want to hit or
if I want in the ballad I want the guy to get the girl and not be being a pussy because he don't got the girl.
I don't want it to sound like it's gonna be the theme song from a Latter-day Saints fucking video. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just bad for loud talking.
I'll just everybody will be having a conversation and then the next thing you know the conversation is just me screaming my lungs out and everyone leaning super far back in their chair.
I'm so loud and I feel like I'm really loud with stand up too. And then I feel like someone's gonna have to just tell me to. I don't ever let me be a Ryan Fried. If I'm Ryan Fried, please tell me, please.
Way too loud.
No offense, Ryan. Well, actually, kind of offense.
I noticed after listening back to sets, I'm just like, why do I say my tag in a lower volume?
Oh my I know.
Like, fuck, why am I doing that? I'm just like, this is supposed to take things up, and I'm taking it down. Why the fuck am I doing this? So now I'm just like enthusiasm for tag. So it's a real, just like one of those just weird, stand-up feelings. Just like, a second before. It's almost like the second before you ask somebody out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, I'm gonna get a big yes or a no. If you're like your punchline, like, doesn't work, you're just like, tag better fucking work. So then if you lean in with the enthusiasm, then it actually works. You just like a immediate thank fuck. I just wish I had like a compilation video of all like my thank fuck moments, like to see what my exact, not my fuck face, but my like thank fuck face.
Yeah, thank God that worked.
I wonder if it's as obvious on stage as me going,
I've been noticing, I think when I go for a punchline, I think it's like I get nervous about the delivery, so my voice goes lower. Like,
yeah, if you want to,
when I
like,
first started, I used to like sort of like turn to like the side for like after every punchline, like I would like sort of do this.
Oh, me too. That's
like,
exactly what I do.
Kind of like, like the catcher in Little League, like when the ball smacks, like they would like flip their head back, you know what I mean? Because they're like scared of the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would always like twist my like head to the side or whatever and like sort of like wait for the laugh and then try to come back. And I don't know. It was just a weird like new comic tick that I had.
Oh my God. No, I have all of those ticks right now and I'm really so aware of them. And like every set, I'm like, I just gotta try not, like I gotta try to like keep looking at the crowd when I do my punchline and not instantly go to look at my notes for the next joke. Like, just fucking chill out, say the punch, let it see if it works. If it doesn't, then go to your notebook, like.
Do you find you're talking a lot about doing stand-up when you're like bringing people in to do the podcast and stuff?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, now more than ever.
Too bad, because I only saw you once at Gus's the other day, and I thought you did a great job. And I wanted to tell you because I find it like very obvious that you were like friends with Vaughn and listen to him because you're telling jokes and they have punchlines. Yeah. And like, you're doing it right. From what I can tell. Like if they're jokes, they're short, you finish it, you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, she did great.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, me and Daniel Allen got together after the show. We were just like, let's fucking go somewhere, just me and you for one more. So Barely's was at fucking capacity, but we went to that board game place.
Nice.
The first time,
Oh, very nice.
Didn't seem like not a place I was interested in, but I'm just like, all the nicest people in the city seem like they're in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about like, just like, hey Daniel, were you just immediately thinking like, because me and Daniel are definitely from the Vaughn School of Comedy for sure, right?
Yes.
Just because he just like thought we were super cool just as soon as we started. So just ideas you already have, he just kind of like really harnessed and emphasized those and made sure you focus on like the tiny bit of a clue that you maybe had at the time.
That's right.
But we could just immediately see him just like, oh, like well, there's three of us now, at least three.
Oh, well, that makes me happy. Yeah,
that's adorable.
I was worried. I was worried that people would go, "That's not a joke." Like I was like, I don't care if the joke's good or like it can be a mediocre joke, but as long as someone hears it and goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's a joke."
Yeah,
like, that had a
structure
structure to it.
What I find like when I watch like new people start and stuff like that, not that I'm an expert or anything, but I do find like even if the jokes are bad, if they're like understanding like the structure of like sort of when you're supposed to laugh and all that stuff, I'm like, well, they understand sort of how to not just talk about weed for 10 minutes.
Yes. And like one thing that like Vaughn taught me was like an observation is not a joke.
Yeah.
Like take the funny thing you saw or like a funny thing you noticed and like put a spin on it. Like don't just say I saw this funny thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, when I started out, like lots of like one-liners and lots of short jokes and just like lots of not just short things. You don't even realize that's not a joke until you get on stage and like you do it for like the sixth time and you're just like, yeah, this is kind of clever and this is people probably think I'm interesting. But
it's not a joke.
This is never
There's
going
no surprise.
to make this is not going to make anybody involuntarily laugh. You know what I mean? Like.
And that's what you're trying to do, right? Like we want those sounds, those even just the like the little Like, even if you just get that, you did something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go like, oh, but I really liked that, but it like, never really went anywhere, and then like you wait like a couple weeks or a couple months before you put it on like Facebook or Twitter because you're just like, I'm holding on to this stupid line for some reason, and then it gets like a decent amount of likes. Like if I get 30 likes on Facebook, I'm like, yeah, I'm the man.
Oh my god, 20 and above is like, oh fuck yeah.
It's agony when you post like something funny to Facebook and it gets a pile of likes, but like you could never like say it into a microphone. It's just like this burnt thing, and you're like, I was like, I'm so proud of it, but I just can't make it work.
Joke didn't work, and then it doesn't work on social media. You feel like there's one guy in the scene who's just like, man, he's fucking really holding on to this umbrella joke. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
because do you find that you guys, if you post something, you definitely don't put it on stage, or is it more of a like nugget that you could eventually make into a joke that you could bring?
I don't want to do too much of the like, I posted that today and then I started talking about it at night.
Oh, I definitely
But sometimes
do that.
like I just go like, oh, I just I started using that as a joke, and I'll be scrolling through my Twitter or something or Facebook for some reason, I'm like, oh, I just forgot that I posted that, and then actually turn it into a joke. So like, yeah, I wouldn't want to like be the butt of too many jokes where I'm repeatedly doing that, like.
Right.
But I don't think there's any like embarrassment or certainly no shame in doing that.
Right. Yeah. I've done that a couple times. Just taken the status and like done it on stage, or like or elaborated on it on stage.
Do you ever like see comics you watch like their special or just a YouTube clip and go like, I'm a huge fan of them, and I obviously follow them on Twitter, and they did it, so if they did that kind of cheesy corny thing, like fuck it, I'll do it too.
Absolutely. And then I see people who just never do, like Whitney Cummings does a lot of really good tweets, but like you never see those as jokes. Like she's just good at Twitter.
She's a beast.
She's just good at like, that's just really what it is. She's just always talking. But I think that like being good at Twitter or being good at tweets like stretches the comic muscle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, so, but I mean, I don't actually tweet a lot. Do you guys tweet a lot?
No, not really.
I go on
like a couple of times a week or whatever. I'm like not like super active on social media at all, really.
No,
like I'll put like something like like clean on Facebook or whatever and try to get a few laughs. If I want to like use a swear, I'll post it to Twitter, and my Instagram is almost like non-existent.
Right. Oh my god, I gotta fucking introduce you guys.
Oh.
I swear I'm okay at this most times.
But really, who am I?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be back here on the Intoxicated Podcast with two awesome returning guests. Martin Edwards is here, host of Mega Comedy Mondays at Gus's Pub. Vince Alexander's also here.
It's also great that like me and Marty are brothers and don't use the same last name for comedy.
Hilarious.
Like just
hilarious.
Right out of the gate. Bad at show business.
Do you think it's bad or do you think it's good?
It's a good way of having like everyone not immediately realize who the way funnier brother is. Vince.
Oh, no way. You're both very funny. And the drink in unison. That was excellent.
Yeah. That's genetic.
That's a boomerang right there. But welcome back to the podcast, you guys. And how are you guys doing now that everything's kind of back? We're back to, doing shows and stuff.
I think I've heard a lot of comics saying this, but you don't realize how much you missed comedy and how stressed you were. Because I was always thinking like, oh, well, we don't have it as bad as the States. We don't have it as bad as the rest of Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, just after that first set, after Vaughn's Memorial at the shoe shop,
that was your first
when
one?
I came off stage, I was like, I was like, oh, I wrote new material that just like bombed, and I slapped my way through it. But at least I had like all new stuff, and just when I came off stage, I was like, oh, it's happening again. It's not like over forever. You just didn't realize like how like all of a sudden I just felt like I was just kind of like walking on air, or
you're riding the bike again. You're getting back on the bike.
But just like a huge natural high. I just did not think it was going to be, such a, like a dramatic thing that it sounds like something you're going to talk about on a podcast. And then I did that one set, and then I was back, baby, and it all just clicked, like, or something. I don't know.
But it is, that is wild, because it is something you have to do a lot of to get good at. And so like this break that we've all had, like like has probably done a number on a lot of people.
It was nice though. Like my first setback, you were there, Sarah. I don't expect you to remember it or anything like that, but it was like, the second Oasis back or something like that.
Yes.
And it was just, I was overwhelmed with seeing people and like hugging everybody and stuff like that. It was completely crazy. Like there was like whatever the 9-10 comics on the show, but then like 15 more people. And I don't remember what I was like sitting and talking to like you and Adrian and Vicky and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'm like overwhelmed. I don't even know what's going on. Cause it was the first time that I had seen like anybody that wasn't like Marty or my dad or like my girlfriend and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it was just like 35 people that I knew. So I got up and did my set and I just like, I had new stuff, which was great or whatever, and it was fun, but it really wasn't until like the second setback that I could actually like sort of breathe and really feel like I was kind of back doing it, and it was fun. I got to close like the first couple, like a shoe shop and an Oasis. I guess those were the first two like up and running, so I got to like tape them and then go back and be like, okay, how far did I make it before I had to like sort of add old stuff onto the end to get the length of like a closing set, because you got to do 15 17 minutes or whatever. So then I would tape it and go back and be like, okay, I got to like 9.5 minutes before I had to go to an old joke. I got to 11 minutes before I had to. So I was like, man, it's great. It was nice to have the downtime. It was nice to have the perspective. It was actually good. I definitely wasn't like sitting home during the lockdown and being like, oh, I can't believe I'm not at Gus's, like telling the same jokes I tell every week. Like, I did not feel that way at all.
Well, yeah, you got to kind of embrace the break. Did you guys write a lot over the quarantine?
Big time.
Yeah. Because I've been finding that it's been going in two extremes with people. Either they wrote a lot or they had extreme writer's block and like couldn't write anything because nothing was going on.
I was afraid of just getting out of the habit. I'm just like, okay, everyone, like I'm going to be rusty and everyone's going to be rusty. So I'm just like, okay, what I have to do is just focused writing every day. Like I like to say that I write every day, but I probably write like, like 4 or 5 days a week. There's definitely days where I just don't write anything. Or
that's wild though. That's a lot of writing.
Yeah, but like there's some days I don't consider it real writing if you like put 2 sentences that you don't even put periods on in your phone. It's not really writing. You know what I mean? But like some people are extremely organized with just like their phone. But to me, real writing for me is getting the scribbler out and also just trying to have like a shitty scribbler. And a good scribbler. So like if you're coming home like a little buzzed after a show, you're writing the shitty scribbler because the shitty scribbler has like the crazy writing and all like the X's and lines through stuff, and then like after you try the joke a couple times and you're like, I gotta rearrange these lines. Another scribbler that's like like more edited joke, not like final copy because jokes are kind of like never like the final copy, but like more of just like that basic idea. And I was like, okay, I gotta write in both of these every day, and write in both of these. Try to do it before noon. If you do it before noon, it feels you get a rush of a sense of accomplishment.
Yes,
right.
It'll put you in a good mood for the rest of the day.
Yeah, because you'll think like, oh, the nighttime. I'm more of a night person. I'm a night owl. I'll have these dark, edgy, cool jokes in the nighttime. Like you're thinking stuff like that, but that's really just kind of like your lazy thinking, kind of trying to creep in a cool way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wait till the moon goes down and you'll have punchlines that makes no sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you just get that rush of sense of accomplishment, then like later in the day, you feel like you still feel like a comic, even though there's no shows, and you feel like
I did something.
Yeah, and also you're just like I'm good at this. Because I'm the kind of comic who wrote before noon. You didn't fucking like write anything good, but you wrote something down before noon, so you have a little bit of confidence that 9 o'clock to go. I'm gonna get that back open. Right. And there's so many things where you write down jokes that haven't tried, or just haven't tried in a while, and then when you look back at them, you're like, oh, I immediately know what to do now. Yeah?
Was there any just sense of just being embarrassed? Like one of my motivations was just like, if I have to come back and do a 7-minute open mic set after being home with nothing to do I worked from home, but being home with nothing to do for 3 months, and I have to tell an old joke.
Yeah.
Like I'll be embarrassed,
Definitely be huge embarrassed, especially for like, I've been doing it just a little over, I guess, not 6 years now because fucking 6 months off, but I guess just about 6 years now.
Yeah.
And you started just a couple months after me.
Yeah, like 6 mons after you, something like that.
But
in
like,
New Brunswick.
I wouldn't want like, comics who were like, a year, 2, 3 years, or even like, like 4 years in to like hear me on the podcast and go like, oh, I should have had all new stuff. I'm just like, don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it longer than me and you didn't have new stuff because of, what I mean? You just had like, writer's block. Totally understand. But for me, I was just like, okay, I have to show a little gusto here.
Right.
you know, and I'm just like, okay, I can't be going crazy, and especially I have wife and kid at home, and then I just see every day on the news just like, you know, domestic violence going through the roof. I'm just like looking at my family like, we're good,
just
right?
get out the scribbler and be like, all right, like, time to write some jokes about domestic violence.
We cool? We cool? Is everyone okay? Is anyone mad?
My family doesn't think I'm gonna snap. I'm just like, you know, what's Daddy writing in his book every day? Just like, just jokes, just jokes, just fun,
not a manifesto. That's wild.
3 months into quarantine, do you guys just want to like get a cabin in the woods?
We never spent
till
time
this
together.
hoax is over.
I was never big into the Bible, but I changed a couple of the verses, and
How did you guys find the lockdown? Like that time when like everything was closed and like it was really like before even the immediate family bubble. How was that period of time for you?
Working from home was pretty cool, and I just still do it now and probably will be forever at this point because I just work like a desk job, 9 to 5.
Did you always work from home? Even before
no,
this?
but like
So-
now I work from home, and it's just that's it. There's no going back.
A lot of jobs have, it seems like a lot of jobs have switched to that now.
Yeah.
Because they've seen the value in it.
So it was kind of fun, especially like when everything was like locked down so much that business was slow. Like, you know what I mean? So like work wasn't very busy either, so I would just be up in like house coat and slippers, like making tea, you know?
That's
do a
great.
little work, get up, you know, throw something in the oven, do a few dishes, come back, tap, tap, tap again, you know, and stuff like that. But then once it ramped back up or whatever, it's just, you know, you get up, you go to work, and then it's nice. It's not have to drive.
Yeah.
And stuff
There's
like
a
that.
lot of pros
You know,
to
one
working
fucking
from home.
brutal thing though was in October, like we bought like a brand new second car because I work in Dartmouth and my girlfriend works in Halifax.
Yeah.
And so now we just have 2 cars and they just sit
there.
They go to the grocery
Oh
store
my
and
God.
back, and that's it.
Shit. But now you have 2 cars though,
Yeah.
just in case a situation comes up.
Yeah,
that you
it's
need
all
them.
good. Yeah, not having to drive to work. Those cars should like last until I'm 60.
There you
Never have
go.
to buy a car again, you know?
See, Vince,
we bought a car this time last year, and it's got 3,600 kilometers on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's not a lot. I don't know.
I don't know. When people say things like that,
Yeah,
I just respond and I go, oh, wow. I don't know what it
You
means.
have no idea. Yeah.
Like when people I've never owned a car, so I truly, like when people are like, how many kilometers? I'm like, is a high number good or is a low number good? I don't know. I'm assuming high is better.
It's a grizzled veteran automobile.
I truly like there's so many adult things that I just don't know about. I had dinner with my family yesterday and they're all just so into gardening. They love talking about flowers and gardening and like vegetables and I'm just like, I have nothing to contribute to this conversation at all. Like
talking about gardening, you just like salad dressing?
I'm like, I like to eat vegetables if they're seasoned. That's about it. It's just like there's so much stuff like that I'm like, yeah, I've never owned a car. Like I've always just rented. I don't know. I'm just like, will any of those things ever happen for me? Who the hell knows?
Hopefully you get diabetes or something like that, you know?
Oh, it runs in my
I'm
family.
adulting now.
It does.
Those stars are lined up.
I found out actually, I was like, can you guys all tell me exactly what health issues run in this family so I can be prepared? And they were like heart disease and diabetes.
Diabetes.
Every time I would like promote the live debates show, I always would misread it as live diabetes.
Live diabetes.
I just imagine you like hollering that down from the window at your mom in the garden, and she just like, you know, like hoeing some carrots and shit like that. Heart disease, diabetes. Oh shit! Should I just jump out this window?
You lived alone during quarantine, Sarah.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, I don't imagine.
Yeah, no, I did not do, I don't think I'll ever
Is
be
there
the
a
same.
deck back here? Did you get to have like any deck hangs?
Yeah, there's a
just
balcony.
another curtain behind you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't end. It's just curtain after curtain after curtain.
Yeah.
It would be so awesome if you just like whip this open and all of a sudden she just got like a sweatshop of like, just like people making skirts and blouses. What the fuck?
Foam
You just like I
covers.
just slowly close it.
Yeah.
Good thing I'm the one who edits this podcast.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, no, it was bad. I made a point. My thing was okay, a couple things. I went for walks all the time, so I was like, I need to know that there's a world outside of here.
Yeah.
Because this is small and cluttered and crazy, and like I need to know that there's things outside of this. So I made a point to go on walks. I made a lot of soup too.
Soup?
A lot of
Nice.
soups. I cooked more. Way
Right
more.
on. Yeah,
just
you good at
because
soup
like
now?
I had to.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Everything else was really depressing.
Yeah.
It was weird to be like, I'm going to go to the house. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to try to exercise. And you're walking around. There's nobody around.
It's a ghost
Yeah.
town.
I actually just thought I was going to get out of the house and not feel so cooped up. And then it's just real creepy tumbleweed. And I'm like not a big person for like headphones. Like I love music, but I don't really listen to music on
Yeah,
headphones.
I know where I'm addicted to headphones.
But
I am too.
and I'm just like, can't really listen to a happy song with like nobody around. That seems like a psycho. You know what I mean? It's like if you're about to die and you have like Walking on Sunshine and the headphones.
I love that contrast, oddly enough. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
One of the talking about like the ghost town thing. One of the first times I actually went for a walk during lockdown was soon after Vaughn died.
Yeah.
It was 4/20. Yeah, so April 20th. I really wanted to get weed, and I was an idiot and didn't go to the weed store in time. Because they had like the reduced hours and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll go 15 minutes early and get in. It'll be fine. Nope. So Daniel was like, I can shoot you a couple grams if you can get up here on North Street. And I was like, okay, sweet. And I didn't want to go on the bus at the time because I was still freaked out about the buses. So I walked from here to where Daniel lives, and it was just that dark. It was like 11 p.m. too.
Yeah.
So like
God.
kind of a little late
for
like a single female to be out walking around. And yeah, because come get me, boys. None of them do. They never do.
Well, see, but the thing is, though, is on that walk, you at least got the pleasure of like walking somewhere, getting something, and walking back. That's what I hated about the walks. Is like, I will walk and then like I will come home and I'll have like a Snickers or a tall boy or like fucking something I needed at the grocery store. But it's like no, like it was very like you go to the grocery store once a week, you get everything you need, and you go back once a week. We're all on a team here, and this is how it works. So you just go for the walk, and then you can't give yourself like a little treat to ruin the exercise, which is my tradition.
I was going for walks and coming home and of course having towel boys and my shitty exercise, but it actually does engage the core. Do you have like a chair that you can hit like a lever on the side and the fucking the thing will pop up and you can put up your feet like the footrest?
Yes.
Right? Do you have one where you're like, to push it back in, it's actually kind of a bitch? You're like, ah. So I'm just like watching something, drinking a towel boy and like pushing it in, pushing the footrest down, engaging the core. You got to suck in a little bit. So I'm just like, this is the shittiest exercise. I'm drinking. The world's ending. I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing?
But you're kind of balancing it out because all the calories in the beer, you're probably burning them with the exercise that you're doing.
Calories also just like burn away. You're burning calories. You're burning the guilt away as well.
Yeah. Did you guys gain weight over the
lost weight?
Lost weight?
Lost a little bit as well. Yeah.
I've been up and down. Like I feel like when Vaughn died, I didn't eat a lot.
Yeah. I did like pretty good at being like 2 weeks in and just being like, you can't pass the next few months just snacking constantly. You know what I mean?
Well,
you kind of have to develop sort of like a routine, you know what I mean, to kind of get through.
Yeah. When I'm overly sad, I either eat too much or not at all.
Yeah.
It's like the two extremes. And I'm like, I always kind of hope for not at all. Just because I'm like, well, maybe I can come out of this sadness with less weight.
Yeah, especially just having a kid at home. I was like, okay, I can't, teach and show my kid that, when something like this happens, just like, and also just seeing commercials, just like, aren't we all sinking into the couch? And you're just like, oh, stop making these hacky jokes. I get furious about hacky jokes. I'm not mad about the disease itself.
In these uncertain times.
But if there's an advertisement that has like a cliche.
It is the perfect time to lease a Toyota Yaris. You see, remember those commercials, in these uncertain times.
Yes.
It's good to know that KD Sharp Cheddar is there.
Oh my God. And every single company would email you with a statement about what they were doing as a company. And it was it always started with times are really tough. Or
yeah. We're doing extra sanitization at the SpaghettiOs factory.
It's wild though, because it does kind of feel like things are generally back to normal, generally speaking.
More or less, yeah.
Like here,
I missed a couple of concerts or whatever. That was really rotten.
What's a concert?
Yeah, I know, right? Jimmy World was going to come to the Marquee, and my girlfriend is 35 years old, so she's in the exact age demo for loving that band.
Oh my
God! And
God.
that got canceled, and we didn't get to go. or whatever, and that was rough or whatever because they were like kind of a band that's like too big to be at the Marquee.
Yeah,
you know what
they
I mean?
should be at like the
so
Canard
we were
Center
really
or
looking
something.
forward to that. So that's one thing that's like not back to normal. But overall, yeah, like I'm not bothered by masks or anything like that to a degree. But also, I work from home, so I don't have to wear one for 10 hours a day like some people, which I empathize with.
I'm gonna be honest with the mask thing.
Yeah.
Hot statement here. I don't think we should be wearing. No, I'm just joking. I will always wear a mask.
What's the deal with vaccines?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know that masks cause autism?
No.
Wearing a cloth mask that you made at home out of your curtains. Like these are shiny ones. They won't cause anything, you know. They'll actually cause diabetes. Like the shininess is basically
sugar,
sugar,
if you're
right?
anti-mask, you're anti-seamstress, you know? Like that's who's making a killing these days.
Oh my god,
it's like
that's a
people
great
who
concept.
can like, and whatever, what do you call a guy seamstress? A tailor?
Yeah,
tailor,
yeah.
Or are they just all tailors? Anyway,
yeah,
they are the true winners. You know what I mean in this new mask economy. You know?
And a lot of people just learned how to make masks and then sold them and like made their own little, or like they would sell them and like donate the money to charities and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you're a good person. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I went to like Point Pleasant Grocery to get my mask because they had like a little ad on Facebook or whatever, and I went in and I was just like, and then I was like, they're just making these. And I was like, man, they're making a killing,
right?
I was like, this is deadly,
right?
Just
gotta find a way to stay busy.
$8. I'm like, yeah, way to go, guys. I was right happy for them.
Yeah, I want to make intoxicated masks.
Intoxicated
because then
masks?
people can promote the logo on their mouth.
Yeah,
nice.
But the thing about masks, what I was gonna say is like, I will wear them. I understand the importance. Fucking hate what it's doing to my skin. Oh my god, my skin has never been worse because it's just like fabric up in my face and like I bus. So you have to wear a mask on the bus. You got to wear a mask like in stores now.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a mask a lot.
But when we were driving to, what's the beach we went to just a few weeks ago? We went
Lawrencetown.
to Lawrencetown.
Mm-hmm.
Just driving. You're driving way into Dartmouth, and
Yeah.
you're just in the woods, and there's no houses around. It's just fucking telephone poles and woods before the beach. And I just saw a guy, just typical thing like, where are you coming from? Where are you going? Like, and he also just had a mask on. I'm just like, bro, I think you're good.
Outside?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Outside and just fucking way in the woods.
He's
close
like
to
West Chesapeake, like
Beach.
rocking a mask.
Yeah, like I think you're good, man.
Sometimes I like if I'm going from store to store and it's like only a short distance, I'll just leave it on. But yeah, no, like as soon as I get outside, I'm like, fucking take this off. Like I don't know. It's
I do that too. Like I'm like outside like for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like I only forgot to take it off for like 20 and I'm still like, what am I doing? I whip it off and take a big deep breath like
I got scorned.
Like Kirby the video game.
I hear you on like I don't really pay any attention to skin, but like, you know, you have like an Irish last name, me and Marty have an Irish, like we both just have like mottled red blotchy skin.
Yeah.
You know, mask definitely doesn't help. Like look at us, like let's all like squish our faces together.
Yeah.
And look, yeah.
I'm
see,
getting
like,
redder by the
just
second.
Big beet red fucking Irish fucking, you know.
No, it's doing my skin was bad, but even before the mask thing, but now trapping all that, like trapping my breath in my face like constantly is certainly not helping. And it pisses me off because it's hard enough to try to find love in a pandemic. But now I have to worry about looking like shit all the time.
I worry about the people who are like going on dates and are just like, oh, I don't want to have a first kiss because like this is all gross right now. You know what I mean? You're just like, can we do like a sexy high five? You know what I mean?
Man.
I went on a couple dates post-pandemic. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Well, one of the ones actually was when it was when they so like there was a time when it was like you could only hang out with immediate family, and then they opened that up, and it was right when that happened that I went on a date, and we just went to a brewery and had a beer. Like it was like we were always apart, and then went for a walk on the waterfront.
But did it immediately feel romantic? Because it just, you know, like the situation.
No.
So, but like during the pandemic, like in like because
he had 9 beers like before he met up with me.
Like, is there like people like trying to bang during the pandemic,
yes!
like going on and just being like, you know, I'm down to break core if you're out, like, let's do this. Like,
well,
is that
I
a
think
thing?
It was hush hush. Like, honestly,
my impression was generally that everyone was sort of more or less, you know, following the rules and just sort of on the team.
I was pissed.
You know,
I was very
things.
mad.
Yeah.
I was very mad because I made an Instagram poll because I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, if like you have like someone you trust, that's not like you're not living together, but you're banging, and they're not immediate family. Like, are you banging? So I made like this Instagram poll being like, is it okay to hook up during this lockdown?
Yeah.
And this was when things were locked down.
Mm-hmm.
And most people said no.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, if you weren't living with your significant other, would you be hooking up?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah. And I was like, wait a second here. So you just have to be in a relationship to bang during this time?
Yeah.
And I got very angry. I was
Anyone
very
who's given an
angry
opinion
about
on that and is already in a relationship, it's just like the easy, no, of course not.
Right?
I'm following the rules. Just like you're just fucking lying.
I feel like
man.
so many people weren't following the rules fully. I did really well with it, actually. Like, I didn't see friends. Like, there was one day, like, when they opened things up, that we all got together at the Commons. Like, a bunch of the comedians and shit, like, all just went to the Commons and just hung out.
Yeah.
Like, we just sat on bleachers and played music and smoked joints.
Nice.
And just, it was honestly one of the best days ever.
Nice.
Because I hadn't seen people for so fucking long.
And commons, like bleachers, stuff like that, it's almost like you're getting together with the old high school gang.
Yes. It feels very high school.
And you actually have 9 people from your high school that you'd actually want to hang out with.
I brought garlic fingers there. We had garlic fingers on the bleachers and smoked joints and shit. Like, it was like so fucking
Pizza
fun.
is such party food, but I feel like for some reason garlic fingers is just kind of ups like the party vibe.
Yeah.
From, like pizza, if someone's like, like I brought pizza. Yeah, I brought garlic fingers. I feel like maybe especially on the East Coast a little bit more of a, garlic fingers.
Hell yeah.
No, garlic fingers are superior to pizza.
Hot debate.
I know. I will plant my flag on that. My sister, for her wedding, like, she had like a meal and stuff, and then she had a dance. But like at midnight, she ordered a bunch of Pizza Delight garlic fingers for the
late
entire
night snack after the reception.
And it was like,
that's a nice wedding move. I love that.
People fucking loved
I've been
it.
to 2 weddings like that. I was like, why didn't I think of this?
Yeah.
Right? It's such a smart idea. Because, like, especially if you're dancing until 2 a.m. Bring out some fucking garlic fingers at 1.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just
The
like
best.
just sort of like also like a dude like just holding 10 pizza boxes and walking through the door. Like, it's just a satisfying visual image, you know what I mean? Like, that would be like a good painting, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
my
nice,
God,
like,
I'd put that
art,
on my wall.
Just hands, dozen pizza boxes, legs, you know, like maybe
Being
the top
the guy-
of a ball hat at the top. It'd be good.
Being like the guy who gets to bring the pizzas at the end of the night, you're probably more happy than like the bride or the groom.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
have to spend all day being nervous and being like, oh, I can't get, too drunk tonight, or just like, oh, I was supposed to like take some salsa classes or something, you know? what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, didn't really bust a move my wedding. But the guy who shows up at the 10 people, it's his big day.
It's true. And it's
Hell yeah, and he's
also,
getting a good
like,
tip, too.
he's super, well, that's what I was going to say is, it's like all night. It's like, $2 tip, $3 tip, maybe 5, maybe nothing. When you got like fucking 12 pizzas in the passenger side,
Yeah.
like buddy driving over or whatever, like in the Tercel, like just knows he's like, I'm about to get a 20 dropped on me.
Oh.
Maybe 30 if like they're a bit drunk, you know what I mean?
amazing.
Maybe like 5 guys are all gonna like huddle around me and be like, yeah, man, and they're all gonna give me $10.
Yeah.
I might be walking out of here with $50. And that's just what he's thinking while he's sitting there.
I
in
got
his pepperoni
$60,
smelling
but I also
car.
had to hear stories about people I'm never gonna fucking see again.
This
Fucking wedding pizza.
This guy,
Oh my
he's
God.
a legend.
You were supposed to get married, weren't you?
I've been engaged for a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
but, like,
And
obviously-
everything got put on hold.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Or whatever. So we're still trying to figure out and
Figure out what you're gonna do.
what we're gonna do. Yeah.
Because it's so shitty because it's that time right now where it's like you could postpone it,
Yeah.
but then you have that thing in the back of your head going like, what if a second wave comes? And
Yeah,
what
that's
if-
definitely true. The other thing is that so many like weddings that were scheduled for last summer have been postponed to this summer. If you
Yeah.
were planning on getting married this summer, it's still tighter because everybody who was supposed to get married last year is now going to get married next year too. So it's double
That's
wedding season, right?
insane. So like all the wedding planners that lost business are gonna it's gonna be ramped up again.
Yeah, exactly. So we might just say fuck it and like, scrabble a few friends together and just fuck off somewhere and do it and then just be like, hey, we're married. And then
That's
maybe
so
just have a party at the
sweet.
house after,
But
something
that's
like
so
that.
nice and like that's like I think that's a blessing in disguise in a weird way. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna like force you to like just be more intimate.
I want to renew my vows on that same day.
Yeah.
It's
So we have to
even
split the
smaller.
guests, turn it into a competition.
No, I will not do 1 p.m. and then 5 p.m. You're either coming to ours or theirs. Drawing a line in the sand. But we were talking about
It's like,
being busy.
who can order the most garlic fingers?
Yeah.
Or from the best place in Halifax, too.
Yeah.
Pizza
Add
Delico.
bacon, motherfucker. Beat that.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Making pizza, staying busy. That's what I was talking about just a few minutes ago. Having a kid at home being like, okay, I can't just, teach him to sink into the couch. I got started on the hacky jokes from commercials. And then I'm like, I just want to strangle somebody who doesn't deserve a writing job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay, I just got to do some exercising. I know it's just at home style, basically prison style. But I'm just like, okay, I got to show my kid some gusto.
Yeah.
So all I did was just sit-ups, push-ups, just knee lifts.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Did I ever want to do fucking bed jumps like Mark Norman
bed
was
jumps?
talking about? He's talking about being in hotels so much.
Yes.
And doing the bed jumps. I'm like, fuck, I can't wait for their comedy hotel. Then I heard that podcast and I'm just like, now there's no road gigs. So I'm just like, how long is it going to be before I do stand up again? And how long is it going to be before I get a road gig with a hotel so I can do some fucking bed jumps? But I lost 40 pounds over quarantine.
That's so
fucking
awesome.
deadly, man.
Petey boy
wild.
killing it.
And now I don't have the huge dad bod and pictures on stage. It's only a little bit of it. It looks like it might be the angle now. It's not
There you
obviously
go.
got. Yeah.
Listen, women appreciate the dad bod. I gotta say, both of you
I don't have
came back very strong in comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very strong.
The fear of, coming back without any new material or anything like that, It's good.
And especially for me, because you got to work at home, but I was just worked in kitchens, so obviously there was no kitchens. So I just had 3.5 months off. I didn't know when it was going to end. But after 2 months, I was just like, I haven't had 2 months where I didn't have to be somewhere since before I started primary, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
I'm still unemployed, and I have no fucking clue what's happening to you guys.
Oh, really?
It seems like
You
I'm a
worked at
busy
Dell?
person. I
Did
worked
you
at
talk
Dell,
about your work on
but my
Harrison?
contract had the joy of ending on March 31st.
Oh, fuck.
And I
Horrendous.
did not get renewed.
Really?
Whereas, I think if there was no pandemic, I might have gotten renewed.
Yeah.
For at least a couple months, probably. But it was always a couple months here, a couple months there, renewed, not renewed, and then and they were like, no, we're not, because I was an event coordinator. And it's not a good time for events.
No, definitely
not very swell.
Yeah.
I'm going to schedule Cryfest 2020.
Honestly, I want to make that poster now.
Just a big teardrop, and now that the writing is in the teardrop.
I want to make it like a music festival poster, like Somersault or Edge Fest. But it's Cryfest 2020. It's wild though. I didn't realize. I was like, holy shit! It's been half a year. I haven't worked.
Wow.
Half a year.
Yeah. How's that feel?
Not good.
No. Bored?
But I'm not. See, here's the thing. I'm actually really busy. It's just the things I do aren't paying me.
Yeah. Been like that for a while.
I'm especially with stand-up now, I feel like I have to make space in my life for stand-up. Yeah. Which is tough because I'm like, oh God, I might have to get to a point where I take a little break from it, but I don't want to is the thing.
It's all right if you just write, you just take some time and write instead of doing it. That's actually good. It's good to sort of, if you find you're too busy to do stand up and you're just going, because I've done this before, is been busy but kept forcing myself to do mics around work and other life stuff, and it's no, I just should have instead of going twice a week, go once a week, take the other night to write. You know what I mean? Don't force yourself to do stand up if the set isn't going to accomplish anything. Right. If you're just going to go and tell the same jokes in the same way, you're not really working on anything. If you don't have time to sort of mentally process and sort of have a goal. Like doing a set without a goal, over and over and over is pointless.
Even if it's a little goal, right? Even if it's saying one thing in a different way, or throwing in a new little thing. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm it's hard for me to figure out what jokes to do when, because I don't want people to go, oh, it's the same set every time.
Don't worry about that, though. You can't be worried about
the other comedians
and stuff like that.
Thank you. Okay, sweet. That's a huge relief, because I'm fuck.
If you're 3 years in and you just keep doing the same 7 minutes over and over and not working on anything, but if even for your first year, if you're just basically doing the first 5 minute set, I don't fucking judge.
Also, it's comedy in Halifax. What are we looking at? Half a dozen pros, 10 people who are pretty good. A bunch of people have been doing it for a couple of years. You know what I mean? If one of those people is sort of tell them to fuck off. Yeah. It's fucking Halifax. Calm down.
I think where I get concerned. I'm not so much concerned about it places like Gus's or Oasis, because I'm like, yeah, I'll just do a mix. Like, I'll do the things that I know works and like some newer stuff too. Like, I'll do a good mix of things. But like places like these open mics, these show up go ups, I do feel a pressure to bring new stuff every time I do it.
Yeah,
because that's the point of them. You know, like the point of them is to workshop, like bring new jokes there.
I think all you have to do is just don't do a joke that you did in your very first set. And that's new for you.
Yeah. But oddly enough, there's jokes I did in my first or second set that I haven't done since. So now I'm actually like, maybe I'll go back and pull some of those older ones.
Yeah. Maybe squish it down a little, take out a few syllables, you know, like fucking,
It's fun. I didn't think I would get so pulled into it, honestly.
Oh, God.
And I hate it. Kind of in a way. Like, because I'm like, fuck, another thing that I enjoy doing that doesn't give me money.
Yeah.
Great.
And like as soon as you're just a couple months into a stand-up, as soon as you get excited for stand-up, that's when you realize just like how much work it's going to take.
Well, yeah, because for so long I was like, okay, I got like those jokes over there. Like I got my 10 jokes, sweet. But then like I think about 3 sets in, I was like, I gotta start writing more. Like I gotta at least be thinking about other jokes in these 10 jokes.
But even like if you start thinking like, you know, I did, 10, 20, 30, 50 sets or whatever, like, and I'm just doing the same jokes. You're doing them at different bars.
Yes.
And usually like, I even find for hosting Mondays, I'm just like, most times it's just, random people who are there.
Yeah.
There's maybe like a dozen people who are like semi-regular, which is, amazing.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of fresh people every time. So it was definitely, a long point for me where I was just like, okay, like, I don't feel like I have to be, I don't want to do like, sets with no purpose. And just want to like, just don't, but I also don't want to force sets, but don't like force out material either. There's a lot of times where I'm just like, okay, I'm doing a lot of sets, but I don't really necessarily have a lot of like things that are new. But since I don't have a lot of things that are new, I should have spontaneous opener, not my opener that's like my written joke. I should have something so-and-so was talking about, or just something that happened in the news today. If you just be like, okay, like I have like, my material that I can rely on, but, address something in the room, address something somebody else said, especially got to work on that, skill as a host, but also just like, oh, okay, I don't necessarily have something new, but maybe for this joke, I'll try to, I guess you already have the questions right off the bat, but, turn this into a question joke, try to get some read from the audience. And just try to do a tiny bit of crowd work. So you have like the jokes that you're gonna do. You're comfortable with them. You've been doing them for like a while. You're not necessarily having like brand new bit with brand new tag and all that kind of stuff. But if you're just like taking a different approach,
doing something that you have like memorized 150% to is good, because now you're just like, I'm just gonna do this thing, but this time I'm not gonna like say it and in my head be like sort of remembering the next word the whole time.
I've been doing that lately.
I am gonna just fucking hammer this. And I am gonna like do it with enthusiasm and personality, and like it's gonna be like like punchy, and I'm gonna like look people in the eyes, you know what I mean, and I'm gonna like emote my face during the punchline and stuff like that.
That type of stuff is so important to me in comedy, like just the connecting with the audience. Because so like me and you were at a mic on Friday night at Daily Grind. You were there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man, sometimes I don't. I'm just like, there's so many mics. But like, I wrote a joke on the way there.
Nice.
And I went, Martin, should I do this? And you were like, no, don't do that. And I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I didn't have it memorized, but I had the key components. Like, I was like, okay, I gotta say this. I have 2 things, and then there's that, and I just did it, and it wasn't perfect, but I got laughs. And I was like, fuck yeah! Just the fact that I got a nugget. I know that I can now develop this.
Getting the words out the first time is a struggle for me. Pretty much every new joke.
Oh yeah,
I find like just the second time is like 10 times better.
It's
than
the
first.
transitions that
but you
I
have to do it
hard.
that first time, right? And
transitions really like fucked me up, and it still fucked me up just because when you realize you're just like, oh, like I can write one-liners, just like, okay, I'm showing, like the audience and especially the comics that I want to, be acquaintances or friends with, I know what I know what a joke is. But you're just like, oh, if I write a whole lot of short jokes, then I have a whole lot of awkward transitions. Because all this stuff doesn't really have a narrative yet, so it's just like, just saying them off like, like point form. And just trying to don't do the same thing in between joke. If a joke bombs and you go, just killing it, everybody. And then they laugh because you're obviously bombing. Or swing and a miss with that one. Or sweet silence with that one. You're just like, man, I got a lot of these now because there's a lot of these moments where joke just bombs.
But then you see people like Albert Coombs who he doesn't really transition into any of his jokes and he just goes right into them. He
just takes such a natural pause and and then the next joke, and he just knows how to reset, and refresh. While I was just in between jokes, just deer in the headlights, or just looking. I realized after a while, I'm just like, oh, if you look down, it looks like you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're not supposed to be there. And now I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be somewhat of a pro now. So now, if I have to take a second and think of the next joke I want to do, it looks slightly more professional if I go. Look up instead of looking down and wondering. Looking down and wondering. Yeah, you're looking at your shoes, shoe gazing. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. If you're just if you look up, it kind of looks like, and you're just like, oh, what trick of, and am I going to get out of the bag this time? You know what I mean?
And it seems more clever.
Yeah, and not just like you're trying to remember. I think I was exactly a year into comedy, and I saw an interview with Stephen Wright, a huge one-liner guy.
Oh, okay, yes.
And, he has a very dry delivery. And somebody was asking him, interview was asking him, why did you choose this dry delivery? How long were you thinking of this? Is this the way you naturally are? And he was like, I really didn't mean to have such this dry, cerebral kind of delivery. He's like, when I started stand-up, it was my last year of university. So, I was doing a lot of work, working all day, and, it's at school, and I had a part-time job. So when I got to open mics around Boston, and all the guys were, Boston guys were hardcore fucking, like road dogs killing it, right? And he was just like, oh, I have to compete with them. So I would just get nervous, and I was just trying to remember. And I'm like, oh my God. That's such a Stephen Wright thing to say. And I was also like, yes, just working all day, and then, come home, pick up my kid at school, make dinner, homework, all those kind of things. And I'm booting her to an open mic, and I'm just like, I'm on in 5 minutes and I'm really tired now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, beer, a glass of water, fuck. And you're just terrified that you're just going to forget everything.
Yeah. Oh my God, every time. I haven't froze yet, and I know it's going to happen.
Oh, I've done that a ton of times. Just be starting, and then just all of a sudden be like, wait, what? You know? Oh my God. Yeah. It's the worst feeling in the world.
There was 2 years in a row where I was just after Christmas, and it was in January. And I was like, oh yeah, start of the new year, I'm going to have all new jokes. So, I would over, Christmas, if you have 3 weeks off from stand-up, you're just like, oh, I got to prove that I write new jokes. And it's just like, how about proving that you don't suck? And just say a joke well,
Right,
but I would just fucking write a bunch of new jokes, and I'd even write 30 and then chop it down to 10, and then just be like, oh, this is going to be a brand new 7 minutes, and just say every single joke wrong, say them backwards.
Yeah.
Forget stuff, say like that, and just butcher 10 jokes in a row, and then just do that 5 more sets before I realized, I'm pretty sure if I just do jokes from a couple months ago, I'm only 2 years in, I don't think anyone's gonna judge me or even notice or give a fuck, because it's out as people random and open mics.
That's a relief for me, because that has been a concern of mine. I'm just like, oh fuck, they're gonna get sick of all this, and people are gonna think that I'm not growing, or not evolving and changing my stuff up, and I'm like, fuck. But,
I would think about sort of when you get to the mic, look around at the people that are there who aren't comedians.
Yes.
And think about sort of try to pre-picture yourself engaging with them.
Yes.
And don't worry so much about whether another open micer thinks you're writing fast enough.
I've changed set lists because of that. I've looked out into the crowd and gone, okay, not doing that, doing this instead.
Nice.
Do you guys do that a lot? Do you assess the crowd and go, oh, I'm gonna not do that closer, I'm gonna do this closer instead?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll look at the crowd and be like, I'll put this sort of stuff at the beginning instead of in the middle or whatever, because I think that'll grab them.
Right.
Kind of thing and stuff like that. If I get to Barely's and it's a bunch of couples.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Love that. I have a couples thing that I really want to do.
Yeah.
That's a little bit wild. And it's not really a joke, but it's more just a funny thing that I was thinking about doing, which is I just want to go, any couples live together in here tonight? And like, so hopefully they'll clap. And then I'd go, can you guys shut the fuck up about going to Costco? And then just that's it. And then I just move on.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, I need to talk about my frustrations with Costco. And like, maybe I can make a joke out of that. I'm trying to write clean stuff, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find even like my cleanest jokes, I'm just like, it just has like a fuck in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is actually a very smart joke. But if I don't, if I had a joke a while ago where I would say like, freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, when I realize I curse, when I listen back to sets, I'm just like, man, I curse a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily, I'm not like a ranter, and my voice doesn't naturally sound angry. And I wouldn't say like I'm a very dry comic, but like I'm not a super high energy comic.
Right.
So I'm like, wow, I forget how much I curse.
It's hilarious when you curse though, because your voice is so smooth and calm that it's actually really
I enjoy that.
It's really funny, because that's why I love the dicks joke so much. Because
also it's like sometimes if I'm like, if I say freak the fuck out. One time I was like doing had to be clean or something, and I think someone after my set was just like, you said hell instead of fuck. I'm like, yeah, it's a joke that works every time. And I said, freak the hell out instead of freak the fuck out.
Right.
And they're just like, man, like, it's a clean set, but you can drop one F-bomb. Like, it doesn't mean you can't drop any F-bombs. Like, you know what I mean? It just means there's not a ton of F-bombs.
Right.
Like, they just don't want you to open with like, domestic, a violence joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
clean, like,
right.
kind of like means like the material, or like, your topics, or,
Right.
like what kind of
subject
laughs,
matter.
like, you're going for. Like, if you're doing a clean set, like, don't do the joke that usually gets, You know what I mean?
Oh, I got a lot of those on my very first set. I got a lot of ooh. And Travis reassured me. He was like, "Don't be concerned with that, like, because that's a laugh that they're too afraid to laugh."
Yeah.
So they do the ooh.
I feel like from ladies especially, I get an oh my god.
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
Like, I feel like I just kind of look like, I don't know, like the boy next door. You know what I mean? I don't look like I'm going to talk about anything crazy. If I say anything about like sex that's slightly over the top, I feel like people are just like, whoa. Like,
Didn't expect that from Martin. Yeah, it's interesting. I have a question for you guys. What do you think is harder to perfect? Joke writing or stage presence?
Stage presence for me.
That's
what I was trying to talk about
I don't know.
before.
I guess I kind of struggle with both.
After a while, just going like, okay, just like, it doesn't, don't be like, like forcing out new jokes, like don't stop writing, but just like, you got to work on your stage presence, man. Just, being more fluid, having more tags, like, being like, have like, more like lines in between jokes, be better at saving jokes when they bomb, talk to the crowd a little bit more, don't like rush when I talk.
Right.
I was so concerned with showing that I knew what premise and punchline was. I didn't work enough on my stage presence at all. And people off the bat were just like, oh, you have a smooth voice. Your voice is so good. So for like a year or two, I was just like, oh yeah, my presence is pretty good. And then after 2 years, I was just like, no, I'm super awkward. I got to fucking work on this. This is getting embarrassing,
Oh, interesting.
I find a lot of times I find like, I feel like I get on stage and I'm just talking the way I'm talking to you now, but then I tape the set and I like listen back to it and the sound of my voice sounds like, like a fourth grade teacher. Like I'm like, okay, boys and girls, now it's presentation time. These are my jokes and here is how they are said. I had to do laundry like that's how I find like it sounds, like it sounds like a little bit too like, sort of fourth grade public speaking as like a presentation,
But yours
and I would
isn't
like
too
to be like
far
a
off.
little looser, but I think it's a byproduct of sort of writing on a laptop, and like sort of like, so I write out the jokes, type, and then I say them. I don't like write them in my, I feel like if I wrote them in my head, it might be like, so I feel like I have the cadence of like a written paragraph.
That's interesting. That's what another thing I'm really fascinated about is like people's process and like where it starts and where it ends. And like mine is like phone notes for like just like a quick things that I write down. Then I put in the joke book, and then I put it on a cue card, and that's the cue card is what I practice off of.
Oh, okay, right.
And then that's kind of my process. But everyone's different. Like I don't think I've ever actually put it on the computer. It's just the notes section of my phone.
Yeah, I'm all Google Docs pretty much. I have a book and I do sometimes write out a joke or
Google
whatever.
Docs is a really good
It's hard to organize though. Like, you know what I mean? Because now it's like 300 files of like set lists and like the same joke like written out like 20 times and stuff like that.
Right.
Like if I was going to go and try to like organize everything now and stuff like it would be like a weekend long project. And I only have like 25 minutes like of material, you know, like, but it's just like the same like sets over and over and over and over and over and building sets and copying jokes. And
because there's that comedy
it's
companion app that people recommend.
I tried to use that a little bit or whatever, but I never really got too much into it. I usually just like text myself a few words to remember the thought and then come home and
I love if you just go like, oh yeah, if you're going through, you know, all my notebooks, and I go, oh yeah, my phone, of course, and then you just go back and go like, oh yeah, 7 jokes that like, you know, I'm pretty sure are good, and then you actually write them out, and you thought of a couple tags for them, so like you just feel like you did a ton of writing that day. You're just like, this is actually like 9 weeks, of like phone notes. When it's today, I felt like I had this big burst of inspiration, and I'm just like, no, it was kind of just like from A to B with a couple tags and added to it, but also like just my like a little editing process. I find I'm saying and too much, or like and or but. So I'm just like, okay, this joke will work so much better if I say however. This will work better if I say though. So not every joke kind of has the same, or not like every joke, but just, you don't want to have too many jokes that are, sound the same. There's some jokes that like I basically have the exact rhythm for. So there's sometimes where like I don't think I've done this on a paid show, but there's definitely like open mics where like I'm trying to keep new jokes in my head, and I'm just like, fuck, there's only 6 people here, and then I go like, oh, I'm kind of bombing, I got to go back to an old joke, and I'll say the premise of one joke, 2 jokes that'll have the same rhythm, and I'll say the premise of one and the punchline of another joke.
I've done that.
Has nothing to do with it, and I'm just like, okay, and like I have to find some way to kind of save this,
or
make this make sense in the moment. So sometimes you just kind of like let it bomb and go, just killing it, everybody. Or if you have some line that actually kind of makes it, like makes some sort of sense or look like a joke in the moment, you're like, yeah, you just wish you had the thank fuck face,
Right.
Ooh.
Shit, man. Like for new people starting out, how do you guys recommend dealing with bombing? Like them, like they say something and it's nothing, like not even, like it's just
have
utter
somewhere
silence.
to go.
Okay,
like don't write like sort of 7 minutes on one topic, you know what I mean? Like if something like if you want to say something, try to say it in like 45 seconds, and then if it doesn't work or whatever, then you just have a fresh new topic to move on
into.
To, right?
Yeah.
So like don't like just sort of like, just tell a story about something that happened at work. Because if you get 1 minute and 15 seconds into it and it's horrible and nobody likes you and nobody likes the story, you just have 5.5 minutes left of, and then my coworker, and you're just fucked. Like have a couple of different topics. If you can't, like if you're so new that you don't even have structured jokes, at least like have it so that like everything is like, sort of 1 minute long, 1.5 minutes long. Finish a topic and a subject, start anew. Does that make sense to you, Marty?
Yeah, God, I didn't even think about that. I always feel so embarrassed that I didn't have like good transitions and couldn't make like things like more fluid when I started and still now. But at least I would always have just like fresh thing to talk about, so it wasn't just like, oh, I joked about like how I'm an angry guy and my wife said something stupid the other day, and then at least I don't have and my next joke is and something stupid about family,
Yes.
So you're not just like complaining, or like ranty or manifesto writing.
Yeah, because I learned about chunks, which is like multiple jokes about the same kind of thing, and I was like, okay, well I do have 2. Like I think I have 2 chunks.
Yeah,
the cream pie chunk or the pregnancy chunk, and the suicide chunk, which Travis made a Vaughn joke about that.
I really like the cream pie chunk better than the suicide chunk. You, just in general.
It sounds really delicious. It sounds like a delicious
cream
dessert.
Pie chunk. You talk to the chef out back about that one, honey.
But that's like, I always have that in mind when I'm actually like organizing the set lists.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, like these jokes all flow nicely into each other. But then that's interesting. What I might start doing is splitting them up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, chunks are like kind of a double-edged sword or whatever, because it looks really good. Like if you like, have to do like a 10-minute set and it just seems like you just did like 3 topics.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But at the same time, like, I mean, I've fallen into this or whatever and then tried to like sort of work my way out of it in terms of writing is like sort of having a joke or whatever, but then like everything else is like sort of like everything, like it's 4 minutes long and everything like depends on the first 30 seconds. So you can't pull anything out of the chunk and like it all has to be like this big long monologue to work. You know what I mean? Because it's just like a joke and then like an endless series of tags.
Right.
You know?
Oh, that's interesting.
Great advice I got from Vaughn.
Oh, tell me.
At the grad house. So about a year in, and I was writing a lot of short jokes and, one-liners, but I think like my third set, I just had a couple like loose ideas. It was only about like 4 or 5 things, and I'm like, oh, okay. The first 2 times, I just had jokes that like I practiced and were all short jokes. Because when I started writing, I was like, oh, this is way too long. Like if I don't have the energy to recite these 3 pages, this is just gonna look awkward. And I especially don't want to only have 5 minutes and go like, okay, my 2 stories or 2 idea things didn't work at all. Now I'm embarrassed. Like if I write one-liners, then I have a whole more tries. More like kind of opportunities to throw something off the wall.
Exactly.
Right. So my third time, I just had a couple loose ideas, and I just somehow said everything correctly and just nailed it. And I'm just like, wow, like I was kind of loose, and I actually had a good set for my third set. Fuck yeah! And then fourth set, I tried to do that again. I didn't, and of course, like an idiot, I didn't do the loose ideas that I had from the set. Just completely new stuff 2 weeks later. For no fucking reason. And I think I was hungover too. So it was just all over the place. So I just went back to the one-liners. I can't do that again. And I embarrassed myself for like maybe 6 people in Gus's, but I was just like, oh, that was humiliating. Oh, I look dummy. Everybody knows that I shouldn't be doing this. But it's just like thoughts that you just shouldn't even have.
Right.
You shouldn't be that hard on yourself. And also you're trying to figure out comedy when you're like 4 sets in. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had such a clue, in many ways, but clueless in other side.
Yeah.
Some good insights starting off, but there's other things that you just can't know until you had it. So anyway, the good advice that Andrew gave me was don't be long-winded on a podcast. But
he was the most long-winded. What are you talking about? That guy would ramble.
Like, oh hey man, I explained the whole oh I got I had a little confidence up for just going up there with a couple ideas, and then just 2 weeks later that confidence was just shot right back down, and then I was just like, okay, one-liners tags, short jokes. Like as many times as you can. I'm just like, now I feel like I didn't think I was gonna be a one-liner comic. And he's like, oh, you're a year in, like don't worry about your style or anything. I know that. And I'm just like, but now I'm just like, well, am I not going to be able to write bits now? Because now I'm just like, premise, punchline, A, B, C doesn't exist.
Right.
And then he was just like, no. Like, you're going to come back to the same topics. You keep writing, comedy, you're going to come back to the same topics. So once you have a whole bunch of jokes naturally written on the same topic, you'll be making set lists and trying to make them flow. And then you'll have 3 jokes on the same topic. 5 jokes on the same topic.
One's 3 months old, one's a year old, one's 18 months old.
And then you have a bit. And I was like, oh, of course. And I don't think it was like a year or 2 later before I noticed there's people, someone will go like, oh, that, Indica bit is really good. And I'm like, yeah, it's a bit. Usually I would get that line you have. I like the line that you said. Now some people go like, the Sydney Mines bit, the goth people bit, the drinking bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, nice. So you kind of, if you could have just tags that, kind of lock those jokes together. It seems, I still feel like I'm a short joke guy. But, now I feel like I'm closer to almost something that's a bit. Now I kind of have things that are disguised as a bit. It's not really a bit. It's a bunch of short jokes that happen to work together.
It's a bite.
And but now I've pieced them all together.
That's what eventually developing a longer set is though.
Yeah.
Is if you went back, if you wrote out, if you had to go and middle at Yucks, you wrote it all out and looked at it.
Yeah.
You would find that basically it was just a collection of one-liners that you've weaved together with transitions in a way where you're trying to present it as, this is me as a person. This is who I am. This is my point of view of where I'm coming from, But if you go and just really look at it and try to remember where all the jokes came from, it's just a bunch of one-line things that you slowly weaved together,
Weave them together. That's so true.
Okay,
and eventually you're just trying to present it along with your look and your attitude as on a package of these jokes, this delivery, this look,
I would do the unicorn joke and then the mountain goat joke and then the rattlesnake joke. I'm like, these really have nothing to do with each other, but these are all jokes about creatures. So it's the creature bit. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, because I think sometimes when I talk, I'll say bit, when really I just mean that's a single joke, but that's not a bit, right? That's a joke. Like jokes.
Yeah, I wouldn't like obsess over terminology too much and stuff like that, you know? Like if something's like 90 seconds long and has like 7 punchlines, like that's a bit.
That's
like,
a bit.
You know, that's good, you know? It doesn't need to be like a Mike Birbiglia like 9.5 minute, you know, thing about going to like it does like that's like, you know, if, like, you don't worry about what's a bit and what's not a bit, you know? If
just
you want,
do it.
if it's got a bunch of punchlines or whatever, it's a bit. If it's 90 seconds or 9 minutes, it doesn't matter.
The key is having punchlines.
Yeah.
New comics, listening.
And
I'm saying that to myself too.
I started.
No, you're schooling the newbies, Sarah.
Let's get Facebook up.
Please. Oh my gosh.
Get me another beer. I want to argue.
Oh my Lord, Facebook.
Yeah, I had a funny thought about open mics. You know, you hear a lot about like, oh man, the restaurants and the entertainment venues operating at 25% capacity. Just like, man, for open mics, that's like best case scenario.
Right?
I'll be back.
Do you guys want more beer? Yeah, grab more.
I like if it was, a weekend I actually, had to host at Yucks. I love getting the middle spot, that easy spot. But if there's like, touring headliner and it's like the Thursday show and like 25 people there.
Yeah.
And the headliner's like so dismayed and you're just like, oh, well, actually, this is, the amount of people I'm used to hosting for. So this is right up my alley. So tomorrow night when it's sold out, you'll feel way more comfortable and I'll be like, keep the shit in your head and I'll be way more like, trying to keep it together. While if it's the Thursday night show, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to be so loose and easy tonight. Fuck yeah, not worried at all.
No, oh my God. Yeah, well, 25 people is, like, what's the standard audience for Gus's, do you think?
Gus's pisses me off every week because there's nobody there. For like years now, that it'll be like nobody there and then 7:59, 3 people walk in. I'm like, I'm not canceling the show, thank God. And then I thought, it's usually I'll do like 10 or 12 off the top for like the comics and like a table of 3. And then as soon as the first comic goes on, 2 more tables.
Yeah.
And then
it grows.
Then mostly every week, by the time the headliner goes on, it's somehow packed. So then, like, to me, I'm just like, it's just because of the slow way the audience, showed up. Now it just looks like everybody had great sets, but the host just was fucking quiet off the top because it was 3 people in comics. But it's great now. So I'm just like, I wrote new material. Because also just that fear of like, I do not want to have, all my old jokes after quarantine. I'm just like, I cannot, host Gus's with just like, the indica bit and the Cinnamons bit. I'm just like, no, there's no doing that for 5 people at Gus's at 8 o'clock on a Monday anymore. Like, that's got to stop.
It's tough to fill that room. I'm gonna really try to fucking
what I keep saying to people,
out.
and I want to like hatch it on a podcast now. Let's focus on this. Like Sunday night, it's all the people who want to keep the weekend going.
Yeah.
So these are like the loose kind of party people who just want to laugh, and if they don't care if you say something depressing or super dark, or if you just have one-liners, they laugh because you're cute and different. You know what I mean? I don't know why it's only ladies who go to open mics all of a sudden. But like Wednesday for the Barely show, it's kind of halfway through the week. The people are waiting for karaoke, and Barely's just has a party vibe.
It does.
Like, you think, like, High Ceilings is not going to work for comedy, but High Ceilings kind of give a party vibe.
Mm-hmm.
The brick, the chalkboard, just, like, the bluesy vibe in there. Like, it's a little gritty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Tuesdays, shows, you're kind of in, like, and you almost feel like you're in, like, the rec room basement of the Oasis.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of a party vibe. I just find, like, Mondays, I'm just up against this dry Monday feel. I'm just like, is this my excuse for, just never doing as well as I want to? Or am I just up against, like, like Monday and it's the start of the week? And
I think it's that, but also the location.
Tuesday at Oasis, too, when there's like 6 people there, they're there for comedy. You know what
That's
I mean?
the
That's the one
thing.
thing is it's a massive bar. Comedy's over in this other section. And when there's like 6 people, they're usually just sitting together or at 2 tables and you can just zero in on them and they want it.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Oasis is going great.
Yeah.
Oasis is too easy. Oasis, like,
With shitting on my point 101 with Martin Edwards.
just instantly.
Just instantly like, you're
Rebuttal.
fucking wrong.
Oh, but people always
You just do good at that easy.
No.
You stupid idiot.
Where you extra kill in that easy
Well,
room.
that's an interesting psychological thing for me because my second set was ladies' night and it was packed at Oasis and I did well.
Yeah.
But I was told, don't get comfortable with that.
Uh-huh.
But then I go, but
who told
they
you
were
that?
there
Who wants
for
to bring you down? After
they were
ladies'
there
night?
for comedy. Like regardless of if they knew a comic on the
No,
show and they were like, for whatever reason, like it's seen as easy when it's a ladies' night show.
Yeah. That's terrible advice. Like, oh man, you're gonna kill. Definitely don't enjoy it.
Right?
You know what I mean?
People
It's
always say,
like,
oh, you
okay,
need-
like you're middling it, yucks. The host is fucking crushing. Like you just have the softest landing pad possible. Don't let it go to your head. Just know that you're terrible and awful.
And that's that
Like,
was
no, go kill. Go fucking kill. Like, what's the point?
I know.
What's the point? Like, you know, like, is it killing the point?
I don't know. It was really, really weird for me because that was set number 2 and it put me on this weird high. And same as you, number 4 was a stinker. Number 4 set was a big stinker. And then like it's just been a weird wave for me. And like it's just strange, but like also I'm like, I'm not gonna like get down on myself if I did well with a crowd. Like, because aren't we supposed to want crowds? Like,
yeah, of course. People always say like, oh, you got to do the hard rooms. The hard rooms make you better at the easy rooms. But like easy rooms, like, you know, you can't only do those, but those kind of give you, if you can have a little bit of confidence.
It's a confidence booster, yes.
And you know, feel loose and feel like people are actually getting you and you're consistent. And then like, you know, it's a good crowd. Like sometimes like a tag will just kind of come out.
Yeah.
Or like all of a sudden you're just feeling good and not nervous. So you just kind of say a joke, not the way you wrote it and rewrote it. Just all of a sudden it comes out better. You off stage you're like, oh, I had those unnecessary phrases. And
like
then
a light bulb.
And then you listen
kind of
back
thing.
and you're just like, oh, when it was just sort of like, you know, hey, go get him, champ.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you just feel like, you know, PD boy just went in there and knocked it out of the park. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you can learn things from hard rooms. And people are like, oh, like hard, you learn the hard lessons, like the important things about comedy in the hard rooms. It's all about bombing and feeling like shit.
Yeah.
But you do also learn in easy rooms. Like,
yes.
it's less likely, but in certain ways.
In certain way,
Yeah,
in a
just for,
different way, you learn in a different way, in a room with big crowd than you would with if you're doing it for, which I had on Thursday, District 5. I went and it was 2 couples and 1 drunk heckler.
Shit.
And it was terrifying.
Well, at least you only had to do, 90 seconds or whatever it
Jesus Christ. Well, the fucking...
I'm making fun of that, but honestly, the last time I went, I was like, this is actually good. I feel like I can just go there, or I haven't been to Daily Grind yet, which I'm kind of embarrassed about, but I think I might go. I think I'm going to go next week, not this Wednesday. But the Wednesday after. But I was like, I'll just do the intros to all my bits, like just those first couple of laughs, and just try to do something where I just do... It's super short to just come up and pop, you know?
Exactly.
Which isn't really my style, but like it's a bit like I was saying earlier about having a goal.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a different format. So I can have a different goal, learn something different than having the standard. You have 7 minutes. You have 3 minutes. You got to make it different. You got to make that work somehow.
You really do.
You know, you can set a goal and, try to, sort of do your thing in a way that it works in that format, right?
Yep. How did you find your first go at Daily Grind, the show up, go up? 21 comics.
I saw that list you posted the other day. Oh my gosh.
Comics on this mic. That was crazy.
I only did the like District 5 once and the Daily Grind once.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck, I don't know how to do 3 minutes.
Don't
know how to do it. Don't know how to do 4. Like, you'd
also,
think, like,
if you look at Sarah's list, it's actually 22 comics, but who she considers not a comic, just go look at the list and you'll have to figure it out for yourself.
Was it 22?
No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny, though. It was like a list of 22 people and you were like, look at this, 21 comics and... bloopity bloop bloop.
The list is like 30 or something.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. You break out a list of 35 comics, you'd be like, look at this lineup, 15 comics.
Now I'm just thinking about all the comics like coming back from quarantine and seeing everybody again. You're thinking about like the people that you know the best. So you're naturally thinking about them the most.
Yes.
And also you're just like, oh, I missed the whole gang too.
Right.
Oh, there's some new people I really like, but you don't know them very well. And there's some people who are only out just like a little bit. I remember being at the Oasis and you're just like, I'm looking at just live Kevin Dupuis in the flesh. I'm pumped to see Kevin Dupuis. Yes, buddy.
Yeah, it's true. And like the review, it's like, oh, like I met this person twice and we're having like this long extended
Well, I do think that like it is a like doing stand up is a very strange bond. And it bonds the strangest of people that probably wouldn't have been friends otherwise.
That is 100% true. I have like a kind of a thing that I say like to describe that is like, say like if you have like a group of people that are friends because like, they're like into rock and roll or going to rock shows or like they like doing yoga and being fit and stuff like that. Like, it's like you see a picture of a group of friends and you get it.
Yeah.
You see a picture of 5 comics, you're like, what are these people doing in the same room together?
Is this motley crew of people?
If music, like brings you together, you probably
like
dress,
there's no
dress
look
the same
or anything.
Yeah. You have like similar vibes, a similar vibe, but like
Yeah.
everyone is so different in stand up and it's wild to me.
Yeah.
Like I always thought a really funny idea for a show would be, because I'm thinking about doing these monthly Intoxicated shows. Like I have a couple ideas about things I could do like that are just a little different than a standard comedy show. One idea I had was like we could get a group of people, maybe not too many, but like a group of people that kind of know each other's comedy fairly well, and you draw a name and you try to do someone else's jokes.
Oh man,
there was a show like that like just before I started. I remember walking home like from a show with a bunch of comics like Grad House. So yeah, I was probably like Grad House started like just a month after I started comedy. Yeah, so it was probably like my 10th set or something. And everyone like, that night where everybody did each other's material. I was just like, oh God, who got to do Mackie? Like
wouldn't that be funny? Like, it would be funny just because it would be a shit show.
Oh, I couldn't draw the names though. I'd have to work on the material.
That would be the thing.
Somebody else's joke. I'd be pissed at myself.
Maybe the drawing happens before the show.
Yeah.
And you have some time to prep a bit.
I feel like if I had to do like a comedy cover set, I'd just go Cat Williams. 900 N-words in 45 minutes.
I feel like all these ideas. Like another one I had was like an Intoxicated showcase where I get just people doing sets, but then afterwards I do a really quick interview with them, like express interview on the spot, and then like roll on to the next person. I have all these ideas. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I think kind of like the after the roast thing where they interview everybody out back.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Something like that. I think would be really cool.
We're just all up on stage hugging like the end of Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I think if I was going to do the comics do each other's material, I think I would message the comics beforehand and be like, hey, do you mind if I just have a hat with paper on stage? But, make the audience think that we just learned who we're doing. But secretly, we all knew for a couple of days, so you had time to prepare. Yeah. Just fucking little eyes to the audience like that. I don't consider a huge deal.
Hilarious. Who would you want?
Showbiz, baby.
Who would you guys want to impersonate?
Who would I want to do?
Comedian-wise?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone would be disappointed if we didn't do each other.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you guys probably know each other's material pretty well, eh?
Yeah,
yeah.
Also, jokes. If I did all Vince's jokes and then that was one of my best sets. Fuck.
It's just funny to me the idea of trying to picture Kyle Barnett talking about cream pies. How funny would that be? Oh my God! We're just the polar opposite of each other.
Just imagine him doing a Mackie line. I'm not sucking a coyote's dick. Doesn't even have a knob. How can I suck a coyote's dick?
They could almost seamlessly flip sets. I feel like you could do that. You could flip there and
honestly,
it would come off it could because they're just all the absurdity,
Yes.
I want to do a Mackie. I feel like
it could almost be seamless.
Mackie doing a Kyle Barnett joke. Think about it. It is all very absurd.
I want a craft beer that doesn't taste like the way my bedroom smells. I got a girlfriend. She's a white girl. What's the joke about having the tattoo? And it's I got a bird. She has a tattoo of a white girl. I got a pet bird. It's got a tattoo of a white girl on it.
Yeah.
Gonna have to edit that one.
Fuck,
yeah.
That would be funny.
Kyle Barnett has a new joke about trying to be a bus driver, and Mackie actually did try to be a bus driver.
Right.
So he could definitely do that joke.
God, that would be so funny. Who other would be good? Who would be good at Albert's stuff?
God, anybody. His stuff is fucking great.
Albert's really killing it.
Yeah.
He's really, really doing really well. Who are your guys' favorites?
It comes and goes, there's people that I liked when I first started. There's the kind of the people that I like now and the people that I liked in the middle.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So,
right.
To try to sort of name anyone, God.
It's tough. It's
when I first started, I really liked Artie Lang and Nick DiPaolo. Nick DiPaolo's kind of gone off the deep end now. I can't really get into his comedy anymore. But when I first started, before he went full alt-right, I thought he was one of the funniest people in the world. Artie Lang is a comedian that I really loved. What about you, Marty? That was my beginning. Who did you like at the real
when
beginning?
When you say favorites, I thought you just meant favorites in the scene. I was just
what the fuck?
Well,
or both. We can talk both.
Early on, you were into Hicks. And like
huge into Hicks. When I first started, like, people were just like, "Oh, you must like all like the one-liner guys." I'm like, "Yeah, I love Stephen Wright, I love Mitch Hedberg." But when I first started, I was all like, "Yeah, Hicks, Stanhope, huge into Bill Burr when I first started." But I luckily just didn't have the thing where I was trying to mimic people. I was very nervous on stage, so people were just like, "Oh, this guy's taking Mitch Hedberg is like cadence." But then like I was hanging out with Vince. I was hanging out with Travis and Andrew, and they were just like, "We kind of felt like you were doing that at first, but then when we actually hung out with you, you just kind of have like a weird rhythm of talking, and this is just how this guy naturally sounds. If this guy had 9 beers and he's still talking like this, I think this is just the way he is." I was like, "Thanks, guys." The real thank fuck face there.
Oh my lord! Yeah, the not trying to mimic people is really key. Like
I'm also like I find like I'm very like accepting in terms of, like if you ask me like, oh, who are the comedians like the professional like that you hate, like I can't really think of anybody like right. Like I find like people really like sort of shit on, I don't know, Amy Schumer or whatever. Like, I think she's super funny. I don't get it. Like just it seems like there's these people that have been like picked out to be like shat upon by amateur comedians. I don't get it.
Elijah Schlesinger.
I love like
for the Amy Schumer thing. People want to go like, oh, she stole jokes. Just like I'm pretty sure she probably has like 5 hours of material. And can probably just fucking do a set off the fucking cuff and just talk to one person. And if you get a good crowd, you don't even have to do material.
Right?
Like wouldn't you feel like even if you didn't really like someone's comedy,
45 seconds.
Like wouldn't you feel like a little bit weird to be like, oh, you know that person who headlines and like does 45 minutes in the crowd? They suck. They're so bad at comedy.
They're selling
compared
out
to
stadiums.
me taking the bullet at the shoe shop tonight. Like if they would just come and see me do 7 minutes about curling, they would understand what comedy is. Like fuck off. Like, professionals, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be your style.
Yeah.
But, like, respect the people who can headline.
Yeah. No, well, that's just
something that I thought was very interesting and, like, kept me humble and still keeps me humble is sometimes you'll go see a Yuck Yucks headliner, somebody you've never heard of. It's a little bit of an older dude, and his first couple of minutes are just like, I'm a grandparent now, and, like, just family stuff. If they have, like, things that are in the news that are just like, I don't even think this guy's on social media. But, he's just talking about, but he is talking about current things. It's not like he's up there going like, so the Reagan administration or something like that, But if sometimes people seem hacky for like 5 or 10 minutes, just because they if your premises can be kind of run of the mill, or if you have
no
like
premise is inherently hack
if
just because
you're just like, I thought this guy was hack because he has like commonplace stuff, and then you're just like, whoa, where you took that joke, and then I'm dying laughing at someone I thought was a hack 90 seconds ago, and then they just kill, and I'm just like, oh, they have kind of everyday stuff, but they're a 60-year-old person. Like they just that everyday stuff is because they have a lot of knowledge now. They have insight onto this stuff. So then you're laughing and you're like, and then you just kind of humble yourself as a comic. And you're just like, I thought this guy stunk for the first 4 minutes, and then all the other comics when he gets off stage are just like, killer, man. I love watching you perform. I remember you said this, and like at this show, this at that show, just like, oh, this is something that all the comics know and they've been seeing for years, and apparently this guy just has new 45 every 8 months. And you're just like, oh, holy shit, like I thought this guy was kind of sucky for the first couple minutes. I'm lucky I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, like
yeah, and you just gotta listen too. I feel like that's an issue for a lot of people. They prejudge.
Yeah.
And then they tune out, or they don't actually listen to the jokes.
If you're a comic and you have like I'm too cool for this, I really hope you fuck off.
Yeah. I've said this to Marty a few times over the last few months or whatever, is I don't like the word hack being like thrown around all like willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like hack means that your material is derivative, but it's working. And you're getting laughs. Like, you have to get good enough to be hack.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, like, if you're not even, like, getting consistent laughs, you can't, like, turn around and be like, well, this person who is getting consistent laughs is hack.
Yeah.
It's like you're starting, you get to where, like, your stuff is derivative, but it's working. And then hopefully you can get beyond it to where it's working and it's not derivative. Ooh. So I don't love, like, the word hack being thrown around all willy-nilly. How do you feel, man?
It's almost, like, too confident in a weird way.
Yeah.
And also too, like, for hack, like I always see hack as like comics who just like take the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, if you're unfortunately, like hacks, like kill a lot because it's like lowest common denominator kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but you kind of have to have like some sort of skill to at least pull it off.
Yeah, exactly.
That is interesting.
But yeah, it's like there's no premise that's
inherently hack.
Hacky.
Yeah,
like if calling someone else's hack is just like a newer comic trying to pretend that they have more experience and knowledge than they actually have.
Oh yes, Martin.
If you want to belittle something,
Yeah,
but Kyle and Chris call each other hacks and joke around and stuff like that. Like
that's
we're not
fine.
talking about that.
Yeah, we're not talking about
we're
that.
We're talking about
obviously.
legitimately saying. Like that person was like a hack. Or
yeah.
They're very much so joking.
It's like, the person you saw once and you're just like, like they had a dick joke, so it's hack. It's just
they're doing relationship material and killing with it, so they're a hack.
And also, how insulting are you to your audience where you think all you have to do is say like a shit joke or a dick joke, and those idiots will laugh. It's just like, well, who are you performing for? Like, do you actually like entertaining people, or do you want only your cool audience and the people who come to see you? Like, you're supposed to be entertaining everybody.
That's right.
Exactly. Like, if it's a bunch of 21-year-old girls at the shoe shop, or if you're at Lucy's Bar and Grill in Stellarton, if you are a comedian, you should be able to do well in both of those settings.
Yeah.
And not judge the people. Because, some people might be like, I'm in front of a bunch of 22-year-old college students. Perfect. Yeah. I'm in Stellarton at the Bar and Grill. Fuck. I feel the exact opposite. You know what I mean? Like, you put me in front of the older people, I feel, and you put me in front of an open mic crowd. That's where I feel like I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because I'm 40. You know what I mean? All my stuff that I'm talking about comes from that part of life. Right. I'm a little more intimidated by an open mic crowd than I am by a show crowd a lot of times.
That's interesting. Well, you gotta.
But the job is to do well, no matter who it is.
Yes.
That's called
and not
being
blame the
comedian.
audience.
Yeah. You can't blame the audience.
Sometimes it is the audience.
Sometimes it is.
If you bomb and then you go these idiots don't know anything. It's just well. If they laugh at me, are they idiots? You know what I mean? What the fuck? I'm next, dickhead.
But if they're talking through your set, they're idiots.
That's a bit different.
There's situations where it's clearly on them. They're not listening or they're being disruptive.
There's two shows that always stick out to me when just realizing people always read the room, know the audience and stuff like that. But it's also you want to go, this joke will work because I like the look of these people. You're also just judging people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have no idea what people are actually going to laugh at.
Yeah.
Right. So there's read the room and know your audience, and if you have a new super dirty joke and it's just all young couples, don't say fuck it and start
don't make cum
the joke
one of the
balls,
first 5 words out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the K-Town shows that are in Kentville. I went there one time and I was like, oh man, I've been doing good the last few times I came here, and this looks like all the coolest people in Kentville. This looks like a younger, kind of hipper crowd.
Oh, man. Townie hipsters, man. They're a good crowd, man. It's
but I was
townie hipsters.
I'm going to fucking kill. This is going to be awesome. I'm looking at the people on the show, and I'm just not that I'm better than those other comics, but I was just for this audience, I think
it's your demo.
I'm more in tune with this audience than they will be. And nobody killed, nobody bombed. It was just an okay show.
Isn't it
and
wild
I thought that it was going to be this is perfect for I'm going to kill in this small town. It's going to be awesome. Last few times I was here, I had really good sets. It was just okay set. I'm there 3 months later, and I'm just ooh, a lot of camouflage, trucker hats, a lot of guys who look like they have nicknames.
Oh man,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
those
just
people who laugh uninhibitedly. Yeah, man, they're just such a tough crowd.
I was this looks super hick. This is gonna suck. They're gonna be drunk and interrupt me and stuff. Super polite audience, and I especially killed.
That's amazing.
I was
Isn't that crazy how that works?
It's good to read the room and stuff, but also it's just that the fun of comedy is you never know.
You never know. I've done the same thing. I've looked at a group of women who were all out drinking, and I go, oh sweet, my people, and they didn't like my stuff as much as the guys in the room, and I was like, this is wild, because you really don't expect that. You think you know who your audience is, or who who will get your jokes.
Have you been in any situation where chicks are just being catty to other chicks because they're chicks? Do you know what I mean?
Not yet. Oh, well, yes.
I've wondered about that before in terms of girl comics or whatever, because girls sort of are competitive with each other in a different way. I feel sometimes sometimes girls could be a more female audience could be having fun, but then a girl comic comes up and all of a sudden they don't want to give the love, where you think they would.
Or it can go the other way. And like they're like, okay, I'm not gonna. You're the only girl, so I'm not gonna laugh at anyone else. I'm only gonna laugh at you. And it's like, don't do that either. Like that's not really.
Don't
fair
bang on the table because I agree with you. Like,
but like I was saying on a past episode, like how happy I am when dudes laugh at my stuff because I'm like, thank God it's funny to you too, because that's like my biggest fear is like I just needed this to.
Yeah, you don't want to come across as like like I'm only talking to the ladies and I don't care about anybody else.
Like I'm talking from my experience, which is a woman's experience, but please, like I want my stuff to be funny for everybody.
Yeah, that's so key.
But that's it's hard to get there.
Do you like Eliza Schlesinger?
Love her.
She has like a super funny line. I was hearing her getting interviewed once, and she was talking about like guys not liking her comedy and like couples where the girl is like cracking up and the guy is like hating it and getting like jealous of her, and stuff like that. And she's just like, yeah, I'm fucking your girlfriend in front of you. It's like, great. Yeah, you're just sitting at the table all pissed off. Her mascara is running because I'm killing so hard. I just fucked your girlfriend.
That's great.
That's like her take on it. Yeah, well, like guys are like judging her for just being a girl and like making a point to not laugh and stuff.
Well, that right there is interesting with her because she did narrow in on very female focused and like subject focused.
Yeah, that whole Pinterest thing that she closes one of her specials with is a super funny bit. I've always thought it's great.
And like her specials have themes. Like her last special was all about wedding planning.
Yeah.
And how ridiculous weddings are. And so like every single like it's there's a story. But it's all around.
And it always ends
weddings.
with a big callback pop.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like to close out, and then she's like, peace.
And it works for her. But yeah, and like she's someone who I can only imagine she probably did start off doing smaller shows and
everyone did.
More broad material, but she narrowed in. Like when she got to a certain point, this is what works for me, so this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
it's weird to just think about like the guy who was intimidated. Like if I get intimidated by something, I will do everything I can to not show that I'm intimidated by something.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's like just like something that I'm like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna laugh at that. That would make you a little uncomfortable. I'll not like laugh super hard to overcompensate, but I'll just try like okay, let's be cool. So my tough guy thing is like not letting anything get to me. It's weird that like tough guys who are like I got my fucking trucker head on and I'm like a badass and stuff. They'll just immediately show that they're intimidated and uncomfortable. It's just like that's the wussy ass thing you can do.
Yeah. Like seeing reactions in the crowd is quite interesting. But I gotta get I still don't really look. I gotta do this.
Yeah.
I really gotta start looking. It's like something I have to overcome for sure.
Yeah, it took me a long time to make eye contact with people.
Not even just the crowd, just
the
people.
Stage. Well, yeah,
from the stage.
That's true. Yeah, I'm better at it on stage now than in real life.
So, do you guys what's your guys' plan? Like, is both of your guys' plans for comedy to go full in on it and try to really? I always wonder this about.
I always wanted to do something. I think. Especially during lockdown, you're just kind of thinking about oh, this is the time I should be asking myself these key questions, and just a very simple question like why do I do comedy?
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's you can very easily oversimplify it by going 'cause I really like it, or I really love it, or the first time I tried it, I knew that this was for me, and it was this big epiphany. What I mean? Most people will say like that. I think are just kind of putting on airs, and I think why most people just want to do anything is because if you love comedy or music or just writing, I don't know, you love jacking off. Well, not really it's oh, it's masturbatory to be an artist or something, but just the thing you love, you want to feel like you're part of the thing that you love because you think about it all the time, so it is you. So you want to be part. You want to feel like you're giving back somehow.
Yeah,
I can't just sit back and laugh and buy the T-shirt and watch the special and get the DVD and stuff like that. I feel like I have to. Not that you're just oh, I'm going to give back with my amazing jokes or anything like that.
No, but you're doing it.
Yeah, you want to feel like you're a part of the thing that you love the most. You don't necessarily go oh, I'm going to work hard at this. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be a professional. you just want to be part of. I just went. I went into it like not expecting. Like I didn't go like in a year. If I'm like I didn't think anything like, oh, if I'm not headlining in 3 years, I'm fucking done. You know what I mean? Nobody should be headlining in 3 years.
No.
But I was just like, I just wanted to do something. When I was a kid, when I thought like moving to Halifax, I was like, I'll start a sketch comedy group like the Kids in the Hall, and I'll start a band, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And I'm just like, oh yeah, school and work and trying to find somebody to bang. That takes a lot of your time.
Yeah.
And then like just you can just kind of realize that you can only really do one thing at a time.
Oh, it's really tough.
I thought I was gonna do so much, so I was playing like music, and then I'm often embarrassed that I didn't start until I was 30.
Right. Oh, but you did it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Both of you fuckers started later than me.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, we started around the same age, Sarah. I was like 34.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, good to know. It is later, right? To be starting. Like,
oh yeah, big time. I just did it because I was actually like married once before, and I lived in New Brunswick. And when I got divorced, I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna be living here for at least a little while. Like my life has changed in a big way. Like I just got to get out there and make some friends and stuff like that. And I was thinking because I would come down to Halifax to visit a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe one of these days I'll write a few jokes, and when I come down, I'll go to Gus's and like do an open mic where I'm usually there on a holiday Monday if I come down to visit friends for the weekend and stuff like that. So in New Brunswick, I kind of started getting opportunities like right away because it's a very small scene.
Yes.
So as soon as you like have like a couple of good minutes, like you can like book some gigs and stuff like that. So I kind of started like, sort of being able to like open and even like host an open mic room, like not very like long into comedy at all. And then I went to Ontario, and I was like the only comedian in Thunder Bay, but Thunder Bay had a comedy club.
When did the comedy club in Thunder Bay's first comedy club, how long after you moving there did Thunder Bay's first comedy club open, Vince?
10 weeks.
Whoa.
Club just opens, and like he's like the only one with experience, so they're just getting you to like middle and host.
Yeah. I got to do like a couple, like I got to do some things that I definitely like didn't deserve to do. Like I got to like host a whole weekend for Michael McDonald, which is something that never would have happened like if I was like in Halifax or in somewhere where there were like other comedians available. But I did have like 15 minutes of good material. Like I was able to like host at a club and do well and stuff like that. Right. It wasn't like an awkward thing, but it definitely like sort of forced me to like take like, sort of my open mic material and crunch it into 5 sweet minutes and then build it out into an act and stuff like that. So when I arrived in Halifax, like I was pretty good at comedy and stuff like that. And luckily, like, like Daniel liked me and was like an advocate for me, and he got me into yucks and stuff like that. I'm trying to hurriedly get to like the question that you originally asked, if you can't tell. But the main thing is like I'm just sort of at the point now, like, I close the open mic shows in town. I get to do yucks when it's operating now. Yeah. You know what I mean? On my own merit, but also because, I had some help from Daniel being like an advocate for me and stuff like that. So the next step after that is like this massive step. You know what I mean? Because what's after that? Like if you can just middle and host at a club, like, the next thing to do is headline. And that's I'm years away from that. Like I'm not embarrassed to say that. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, at this point, like I'm 40. I've been doing comedy as a hobby for a while. Yeah. Am I going to like quit my job and be broke to try to travel all over the country and do comedy? Pretty much definitely not.
Right.
But, like I enjoy doing it. I focus on getting better, which I think is more important than benchmarking myself over like, how much money I'm making or anything like that. It's just, am I getting better? I think I am.
Right.
And, maybe if I keep pushing, maybe someday I could maybe headline yucks, but there's a lot of work that I have to do that. So it's up to me to like, force myself to be better.
I think patience is so key in this, but also too, it's like so many people freaking think that like my parents were like, do you get paid for these open mic shows?
No, I was
like, I laughed.
You just go and perform for free. It's only 5 minutes, Dad.
Like people don't realize that it's literally like, it's a self-taught art. It's and there's so much patience, and there are those people that go all in right away, or they go all in fairly soon, or like that's their main like their main focus. But then there's other people who are gonna chip away at it, like you guys. You guys are gonna chip away at it. Like you're gonna put your all into it, but you're not. You do have other things. You have families and jobs.
Yeah.
So like it's always interesting to me that choice, like the choice between all in and like chip away. All in, chip away.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, do you think getting those opportunities when you were so early in helped you?
I think knowing that I didn't deserve them helped me.
Yes,
like, you know, sort of
that's what
having
it
perspective,
is.
like knowing like I am doing this because like, you know, I just happen to be in a town where like I'm really the only person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
like, you know, who's trying comedy and has like a bit of experience.
Yeah.
And isn't just picking it up now that a comedy club opened. So
Right.
just having that perspective is helpful.
Mhm.
No matter what your situation is, whether you're in Thunder Bay or Halifax or whatever, just, you know, sort of knowing where you're at and accepting it is important.
That is so fucking key.
And like knowing, you know, that like, you know, I could work harder. Like I could have been a better comedian 6 years in than I am now.
Yeah.
If I worked harder, and I know that.
Right.
You know?
Right. Oh, well, you're both pretty fucking good. So,
Mm.
it's part of being a comic is being hard on yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
Like that's part of the
hating
gig,
yourself.
right?
Something I was just thinking about was just, you know, writing, you know, new material during lockdown, and then just, you know, I'm like maybe 15 sets, like, you know, back in, and I'm just like, okay, like 75% of the stuff is like, you know, basically working.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, like, and I'm trying to write different now, and also not keep the same straight set list in my head. Don't be so focused on like, you know, what your opener is, and just have more tags. Like, dude, you gotta have more tags. Just, you know, like I don't. It's not that I never want to write one-liners again, but I'm just like, oh, gotta have like, you know, longer stuff, because I feel like that's the new way to prove to myself that I'm a comic. I already prove, you know, I know how to, you know, put a premise and a punchline together a long time ago.
Yeah.
I proved that I can do 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 25 sometimes, maybe a couple times, maybe a little bit. I don't know. But just like, you know, trying to like, you know, just, you know, having to we're trying to write bits and not just trying to write jokes.
Right.
Like, not that like, you know, like jokes are so silly and bits are like the comedy gold and the real stuff or anything like that. But
it's a better word. I like bit.
Just kind of like, not like, oh, I got to put myself in a bigger league or something. Just trying something different.
Yeah, it's trying something
And
different.
that's all. And like now, you know, just trying to have a little bit of a different style. And the jokes I have now, just in the past, like, you know, 2 months since comedy came back, I'm just like, I almost feel like an old self again. I'm like, oh, before I started comedy, this is kind of the comic I thought I would be. Like, this is the kind of jokes I thought I'd be writing and the delivery I would have. And then I realized, oh, before I started comedy, I thought I would have the jokes and delivery of someone who's 6 years in.
Yeah.
It's like, I knew I didn't think like, all my friends think I'm hilarious, and I didn't want to do comedy, but they all pushed me on stage. Definitely wasn't a case like that. But, yeah, you just like, you know, you don't realize, you know, the dedication it's going to take and the work it's going to take. You imagine yourself on stage. You don't imagine yourself struggling.
Yeah.
You don't imagine yourself killing. Like, they're going to be like, oh, finally you started stand up? Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, you never picture the bomb.
No.
You picture.
Yeah, you don't know how awkward it's going to be. Because they used to play music. And if you make a mistake playing a song, or you're like, that's rock and roll, this is punk rock. Like, oh, so that song was too fast? We're just a fucking out of control rock and roll band, man. Like, if like so many times, I know I talk to anyone who ever tried to be a singer is just like, oh man, second verses are so hard to write. You know, almost every time I play the song live, I sing the same verse twice. You know, nobody notices those mistakes. So in a band, you make a ton of mistakes and nobody fucking notices.
Yeah.
You make tiny mistakes in comedy, everybody fucking notices. There's no loud, like, you know, amplifiers and drums to hide your mistakes.
Nope.
And there's no like loose rock and roll feel. After like, you know, a while you can have that. But I was 30, like I had played hundreds of like, you know, music shows. I was 30 before, like, you know, I'm going on stage and being like, what's happening in my stomach?
Do you guys get nervous before sets?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no.
when
But if you don't get nervous, I mean, like you're never going to be good.
No.
Like not being nervous is a bad sign.
Because I do think people do notice when you fuck up and stand up, but do you think that they care? Is the question. Because Kyle Carpenter gave me like interesting advice starting out. He's like, just remember, none of this matters.
Yeah.
And like some might hear that and go, that's really bleak. But I'm like, no, I like that because that means, you know, when you do bad, it doesn't matter that you did bad.
No.
Like they're not gonna like, yeah, they might notice that you stumbled or like you didn't get a word out or you blanked, but they're not going to go home and go, that open micer. That open micer. You know, like they're not going to be thinking about an open mic comic.
Oh my God. There was, I think this was about a year ago. It was two like Ontario comics. There was one I don't know very well, so I don't want to judge him, but one I know pretty well. I know his stand-up really well. I don't know, the guy very well. But there was one comic just making this cringy fucking Facebook post about like, oh, I've just been headlining for so long now. Oh, I've been headlining for a year. Oh, I'm working on new material now. I don't even know how to go back to doing 7 to 10 minutes. Hey, other headliner comedy friends, how do you do 7-minute sets after you're a headliner now?
Oh my God.
And it was just like, other people who were like, probably like, co-headline once and want to talk like they're the big headliner now and they're going to give you advice or something. And I was just like, this is so cringy. Like, how can you be a comedian and have an approach like this?
Yeah.
But like I won't say who the comic was saying like the cringy stuff, but Andrew Barr just like commented, just remember that you suck and none of this matters. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And everybody else just has paragraphs of what they think is an insight, and it's just like you're also a comic and you have paragraphs of unfunniness with barely a point.
Oh my
Lord. Fuck, that's funny. Not that he was saying like you suck as a comic. It was just like saying you suck as in like you sucked at the Oasis the other night. Like, it's just a joking you suck, but it was just remember you suck and none of this matters.
None of this matters.
So good.
It does matter a bit. Like it's one of those sayings that is like, obviously if it makes you happy, it matters.
Yeah, you don't want to be like bitter and existential and be like none of this fucking matters. Like, it's just drunks out there. It's just like it's a bunch of people in their 20s that were waiting for karaoke. Like, what are we talking about? I find it always weird when people say like, oh, the drunks at the open mics. I'm just like, it's mostly young 20-somethings who are like, look like they're just like, oh, there's a comedy show. I didn't know it was gonna maybe I'll shut down the laptop and get a couple beers. What do you say? Yeah, let's do this. Like, and people always want to talk like, oh, there's the deadbeats who are hanging around the dive bars. Who are you talking about?
I definitely always used to think comedy was very much so a bar thing, which has been interesting for me doing like these mics in coffee shops, because I'm like, this is a different vibe than like at Gus's pub with the VLTs and like Beerley's with the pool tables and Oasis with the pool tables.
So much easier
those fucking
if there's
pool
booze.
tables.
And I'm also like, I like drinking, so I want there to be booze there. I remember like when the High Life show first started, I was just like, a weed bar?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna smoke a joint and have a beer. Like, not after after my set, of course, I'm gonna be a professional. But this place is gonna rule. And then I get there and I'm just like, oh, just weed and tea. Oh. And I also like to smoke weed, so I'm just like, this is like
all my bits are about how tea sucks.
Man, it's wild to think about doing because everyone I talk to is like, my worst set was that High Life. That's what everyone says. They're like try to make a stoned out of their mind person laugh. It's the hardest thing to do.
Is that they didn't have a stage when it was originally on the third floor. No stage, middle of the room, worst setup for comedy. I was killing in that room. I would show up and like every second week they'd be like, you want to close it out? And I'm like, of course I want to make $50. Fuck yeah. And it was just the easiest place to riff too. If you have it's an easy audience. Like, sometimes it's, if you're the headliner, kind of like a Gus is like I was saying, by the time the headliner comes on, then it's packed. So you're kind of set up. Not that it's going to be easy then, but everything is kind of set up a little bit more.
Yes.
So I'd be like, oh, so and so was talking about like where I found people's material, show that I can be in the moment, and then do like a like a joke that works, new joke that works, new joke that works, new joke, and feel awesome. And then when they moved it downstairs, proper stage, place in the back for the comics to hang out, proper seating and everything. I think I just bombed 30 times in a row.
Have you ever done
terrible.
Oh yeah, tons of times. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You have bad sets there?
Sometimes we'll go together.
Oh,
and
of
I'm
course. Yeah. Sometimes I would go with just like fresh stuff and like mumble it. To like the two stone people. There's no worse feeling in the world than like writing, trying to like get words out for the very first time ever.
Damn.
And there's no one at High Life, and you stumble and go like that instead of delivering your joke. There's no
energy to bounce back. Like that's the thing about it. Like
I don't love a room full of secondhand weed smoke either. Like that's not really my vibe.
Oh God, that would not be good. Yeah, I've never gotten high or had a drink before a set yet.
Yeah, I've only ever gotten high before a set once, and I once went on stage with a buzz, and both being on stage high wasn't so bad. Like I did okay, but I didn't do as good as I like should have. And the time when I went up with 7 beers in me, like I just said like every second word. And you know, like when you're like, you know, going to the thing and like
you're Andrew Vonning it.
Yeah. So on stage with a beer buzz once, on stage high on weed once. In however many like
would not
recommend.
recommend.
Sets of done. Never do.
Actually, you said like
that's
is
just me.
Like is a Von thing. I like to think that that's the one thing I taught Andrew Von. Sometimes be real sloppy.
Oh man. Speaking of open mic comedies, the Shoe Shop 8:00 show, 8:30 show.
It starts at 8, but they never start at 8. But we'll wrap anyway, so we can get you there on time.
Yeah.
We're gonna. It's sad though, because I love it. Well, you're gonna come back. You'll be back on.
I feel like we have to come back. Remember last time the three of us we joked the whole time and talked nothing about comedy.
I feel like life.
And then we came back and all we did
was talk about. Well, do you have any quick ridiculous stories to tell?
Quasi-professional comedians was lay down the law of what comedy is. Which do we have a right to be doing this? I don't know, but we just did it.
Yeah. I love it though, but do you have any quick ridiculous stories to tell?
I do want to tell my burp story.
Okay,
we were
burp
talking
story.
about that when you were getting the vodka soda. Can you get me a beer for my burp story?
Do you want a beer for your burp story?
Why don't you start telling it and I'll get it.
All right.
Oh my God, I thought I had 4, but I had 3.
Yeah, no, you have a 6.
That's because we had 4.
Yeah, he's all out.
Gotta do more editing, baby.
He doesn't get to do his story now.
So, the burp story is, I was probably 2 years into comedy, and for some reason I had this idea where like my new joke will be my opener. I think I was just like, I suddenly realized what an opener was. And then I'm like, trying to like, specifically write openers. So I had a brand new joke that was my opening joke. And there was a good crowd at Gus's, but I also, right before I got to the stage, I got an Olin's. And like your first drink of, like the day, sometimes, you know what I mean? You just take one sip and immediately just have a huge burp. So I got a beer, didn't take a sip yet, got it like how you run on stage, told a brand new joke, and it got a huge laugh that went into an applause break. For like which was just wasn't like not even a joke I kept for very long. It just happened to really, really work that night. And huge laugh, applause break. I'm just like, oh okay, I can take my first sip. I go, oh my God. And I knew it like, to take the microphone away and like to turn my head like like a little bit. I didn't do it as pronounced. I didn't look at the audience and suddenly go like I am a beast. But it was super fucking loud, and I just a burp, not like a that you just like feel here, like it was all through my fucking body. But I lifted like the microphone away, and then I was just like, is this laugh continuing? Because I just burped really fucking loud after my very first joke. And then like the rest of the set was like like a pretty good, but I had to wait until like the very end of the night. Because I think I was the first comic up. I wasn't hosting, but I was the first comic up. It was Gus's when Andrew Von was hosting. And so I had to wait all the fucking show to look at people after the set and be like, so my first joke, they were just like, oh, that Batman joke, that was hilarious. I'm just like, so was everybody laughing because I burped really loud? Just like, no, you what? I'm just like, oh, I burped really loud. I took the microphone away. Oh, we didn't actually hear that. I'm like, okay.
That's amazing.
Did they not hear the burp, or is Kenzie just being really nice? So I'm gonna walk over and say the exact same thing to like, I don't know, Travis and Bryant. Hey, that joke, I was happy that like new joke got a big laugh off the top, but did I get like an extra laugh because of the burp there? And they were like, what? I'm like, oh, okay. I just you can tell if people don't know what you're talking about.
They
right?
would say something. If they heard it, they would have said something.
Oh, thank fuck. I don't think I've ever had like a burp on stage first, but it was just a fucking power one.
There's nothing funnier to me than like a burp that's like forcing its way out of your body. It like needs to come out. Like it has to come out.
That is wild.
Have you ever burped on stage?
No, but the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me, and this is like kind of like a crazy thing because it's super embarrassing to admit. The worst that I ever bombed was the first time that I ever got booked for a real show.
Oh no!
The main booker in New Brunswick, who just runs Chuckles now, or what do they call Chuckles now? Punchlines. Punchline was Shane, right? So Shane was in Fredericton or whatever, and I was doing an open mic, and I killed. But it wasn't a legitimate kill. What it was is there was a bunch of stuff going on in the news, and I wrote a bunch of jokes about that the night before, just disposable material.
You were relevant.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You wrote
so
relevant
I
stuff.
killed based off that. It wasn't off like, my actual material.
Right.
And he was like, okay, there's the show, the end of the month, I put one open micer on to open. And, like I was like super excited, like I was going to go and I was going to do like a hotel ballroom show, and I was going to like open and, like I was going to do like 7 minutes and like it was going to be great, and I was going to get paid and I was going to be a real comic and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I'm like fucking 34 at the time.
Oh my God.
But anyway, so... Shane gets up and like does like the host thing or whatever, and then there's a surprise 20-minute guest set from James Mullinger, who's like the main pro in New Brunswick, who like everyone in the middle
lovable.
And just exactly, he's super affable, like lovable, like just essentially just like it's like if like he's like the Barack Obama of like St. John, like he's like just literally just adored,
yes,
or whatever. So he gets up as a pro comic, and then I have to get up with my 7 minutes, and I get up and
this was he was a surprise. So
yeah,
you had no
was
idea.
A surprise. Yeah, it was supposed to be Shane doing the kickoff host thing, me doing my 7 as a guest spot, the middle and the closer or whatever, or maybe it was a split middle. That's not important. The main thing is I went up after 20 minutes of explosive, uproarious applause for James Mullinger to do my 7 minutes at my first real comedy show ever, and I flubbed the first joke and I had dry mouth, and it was so bad when I got to like a real joke that was supposed to be like the joke right before my closer to really send my closer home. It was so quiet in the hotel ballroom that you could hear someone under their breath go, "That one was actually funny." And we're talking probably about 12 times the size of like this room of your apartment, like 3 back or 4 back, 3 across, full of people in a hotel ballroom or whatever. And I bombed, and I had to go back and sit at the comics table and face everybody. And I didn't even have 2 minutes to process what happened. Shane came up behind me, put his arm around me like this and said, "Good job, buddy," and took out a pen and wrote me a check for $50.
The fuck up! Oh my God.
And I was devastated. I was like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "No, you did good, man," which I would do if I was in his position.
Yeah.
What you would do, you've done that before for tons of
He's
people,
so
right?
cool.
"Oh, you did good, man." Like, that's, what people do or whatever. So he was nice enough, but
you still got the money.
My worst ever bomb was at my first ever show. Not open mic, real show.
Fuck.
So that's the story.
That's wild. Mm-hmm. That is insane.
Yeah. Just following
James Mullinger.
a headliner who just showed up by surprise.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well,
and it's funny too, because I used to really like judge that guy, but again, like once I like matured as a comedian or whatever, I was like, he headlines and I don't. Like, why am I like judging this guy's comedy or whatever?
Yeah.
So it felt even worse then because
I
didn't like him as a comedian. Now I do like him as a comedian and realize me not liking him was actually just sort of naivety on my part.
A little bit of like, yeah.
I also want to know what you wore to that show and what James Mullinger most likely wore to that show. He probably just looked killing it in a fucking suit.
Yeah, exactly.
He
tailored
at the
shoot,
bed.
and I was there with like a painter's shirt with snap buttons rolled up, open like this with a graphic tee, like just my look.
I was thinking the Lillingtons and then mustard.
Probably, yeah. That's probably a pretty close guess. Yeah,
that's so funny. Oh my God, that's hilarious. / like horrifying, but funny, and just the situation is funny. I'm sorry that happened to you.
But Shane Ogden is the perfect guy to have along for that. I've seen like done a couple of shows in St. John. There's someone who like only does okay, but you can tell in their mind that they fucking bombed.
Yeah.
And like Shane will come over just to stress the situation and go like, "Hey, I thought you were really funny. We'll definitely book you again, man. We don't judge people on 1 or 2 sets."
Good for him. Good for him. No, yeah, that's so important. Yeah, you gotta see someone more than once.
Yeah, and that guy's been doing it so long, he knows potential. Like, when he sees it. Like,
yeah, that's just it. Well, guys, we gotta sadly wrap it up. Sadly,
we're all shooting and fucking squirted out,
shooting, squirting,
but
came as much as we could.
Can people follow you guys? Plug your socials. I just love that. Like, we could have plugged Mega Comedy Monday's Instagram, but we can't get into it because a dead guy ran. So
you can't do like forgot my password and then like try to like answer like his security question or anything like that.
I wonder if a question would pop up.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like
what's your pet's name?
They're gonna be like,
something
oh,
like
can
you
we
guys would
actually
know that.
give you like a phone call? That's how that's our our protocol for these things. And I'm gonna pick it up and it's gonna go, here we go again. Like, excuse me, Mr. Instagram, suck my dick. How's everything going at the Instagram business? I can't afford my mortgage.
It's just funny to me that Andrew, you died with the fucking Instagram password. How could you? Me and Martin need that.
This to us.
I'm still pretty determined to try to get into it somehow. I don't know how, but or maybe we'll.
So now you have to start the Mega Comedy Mondays with a Z Instagram.
Mondays, but you can follow Mega Comedy Mondays on Facebook. And Martin on Instagram.
Instagram, the Martin Edwards, and on Twitter, I am Martin Edwards with a Z, because when I first started comedy, I started in like a Twitter account, and then like a week later, I couldn't sign into it. So there's a Martin Edwards out there with an S on the end, but it probably has like one shitty joke from like 2013.
That motherfucker.
Killing it.
You should steal that joke. It's yours. That's your joke now.
And Vince?
It's about cum. I'm at Vince is funny on Twitter. Twitter's really the only social media that I use. I am trying to get into Instagram. Like I'm trying to sort of take a picture and then make a joke. And I keep saying I'm going to get on it more. That might happen. But for now, I'm at Vince is funny. I only tweet jokes. I don't scream about politics as people like to do on Twitter. And I try to stay out of that. And it's hard because I need to be on Twitter. But every time I look at Twitter, I want to kill myself.
Yeah, that's
I keep
fair.
on wanting to make Joe Biden jokes. And I'm just like, are people going to think that I'm like anti-Democrats or anti-Joe Biden?
When it comes out that Joe Biden died 3 months ago, there's going to be lots of jokes to make for everyone.
Next time I fuck up a joke, they'll be like, that's Joe Biden's kid?
Oh my gosh, but thank you guys both so much for coming on. This was
man,
excellent.
great to be here.
This was great. I always love having both of you on.
Whoa. Yeah.
And
you look like you want us to ding that bell.
You gotta ding the bell.
All right, do you want a tandem ding or ding ding?
We can...
Let's do it.
All in the middle.
Like one ding for
team! Yeah!
I love those. Those make me so happy.
Wicked.